evening, sim racing fans from across the globe. After weeks of practice, qualifying, and two 150-lap duels last Saturday afternoon, hundreds of iRacing drivers have signed up to be in this premier race today. However, the top 43 have made it into today's iRacerStuff.com Daytona 500. Live from the world's center of racing in beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida, high atop the grandstands. I'd like to welcome all of you that are tuning in today on LSRTV and iRacing Live to Daytona. Alongside me, Andy Kessler, I'd like to welcome Cisco Scaramuza into the booth with me tonight. And along with that, he'll be getting the picture that you see to you. Cisco, the wait, the weeks, the time has finally passed, and we're here for the first annual Daytona 500, sponsored by iRacerStuff.com. We are in for a fantastic treat today. Some of the best, the fastest guys in iRacing on these super speedway tracks are here today. We got guys, Pro Series drivers. We got drivers we've seen in other leagues that we broadcast. Names we've never even seen at all on the sim. And now they're all here today, 43 of them, ready to see who's the best of the best in a winner-take-all style format.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be fantastic right here. I mean, talk about just some of the names you'll be seeing across that ticker. Tyler Laughlin, Chris Overland, Logan Clampett, Matt Quick, guys who have plenty of experience throughout iRacing, and a couple new names that we haven't really seen before. It's going to be a lot of action here. 500 miles. We're going the whole distance, 200 laps, 500 miles. This is going to be one thriller of a race. It's going to be an endurance race, though, which is a little bit different for us, Andy. We're kind of used to, iSuperspeedway being a little on the shorter side. Sure, we had the iSuperspeedway 500 only last week. So, we're kind of used to a little bit shorter of these plate races. But this is the big deal right now.
Yeah, when you're talking 500 miles, 200 laps at this speedway, and you talk about one of the things that's going to come into play as far as these drivers concerned today is going to be, their ability to be focused for that full time, barring obviously any under cautions that we have that'll slow the race down. But there's just so much time, so many laps. You end up getting tunnel vision at things like this when you're just really focused out in front of you and not to the guys behind you. The passing, we'll see the 2 wide, the 3 wide, all kinds of stuff, and it's all going to come down to that final lap like it always does when we come to these plate tracks. So green flag pit stops are going to be awesome to see here today. So a lot of things go around. Mistake-free is what we're going to have to see from a lot of these drivers to be able to get it done. And at the end of the day, after 200 laps and 500 miles, it's definitely an endurance type of a race for all these guys, and I'm sure they're all ready to get it done here today.
And there's definitely some names in this field, guys like Tyler Laughlin. We saw him during the duel. He actually got wrecked out, was able to still get in because he had qualified on pole. But some of these guys, they barely made it in. We talk about the second duel. It was basically kind of cut and dry there. Enough of the field wrecked out to the point where everyone else who was basically running got in. But that first duel, we had a really big fight for the transfer spot. But right now, this is a completely different animal to the duels. These guys don't have to worry about that anymore. All they have to worry about is going out there, and it's a winner-take-all. There's no points on the line. It's just bragging rights and, $100, by the way.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing right there. $100 to the winner of this race, and that's the only payout. However, there's a special for all the guys. It'll be a random draw at the end of the race of everybody that participated in this race here. One lucky driver will also get a button box also. So finish last or finish first, there could be something in it for you, and this is going to be set to be something very special that we will see here tonight with the first annual iRacerStuff.com Daytona 500. This also sets us up for next Sunday night next weekend, I should say, when iRacing, their official side, their Daytona 500 will have such a huge turnaround over the course of the weekend, and that will get these guys set up for that. We talk about pro drivers that are in this race also. This is just getting them prepared also, getting them track time, getting them seat time for their first race here in a couple Tuesday nights from now when they go for the Peak Series, the NASCAR Peak Series Championship, which gets underway in a couple weeks. So a lot of things out there for these guys. Not only is it a race to win some money, it's also a race to get some practice for some upcoming events also for a lot of these guys. So today's race is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of it too. So we got to buckle down for about the next 4.5 hours. It'll be a lot of fun. But first, we're going to send it down trackside to take care of some business for today's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
And we're back here live on LSRTV and iRacing Live for today's iRacerstuff.com Daytona 500. 200 laps, 500 miles for all these drivers, and we want to thank Jaden Berkey for that wonderful rendition of the national anthem. And, man, this is just getting absolutely exciting. The butterflies have got to be going for these guys at this point as we get ready to set the grid. And, man, this is just going to be something awesome to see here today, Cisco.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a fantastic race we're going to have here. But before we can get all that, we have to start going through our starting grid.
That's right. Today, starting on the pole, like we talked about, winning the qualifying efforts over the course of the last couple of weeks, it'd be the 51 of Tyler Laughlin, and to his outside on the outside starting front row will be the 48 of Robbie Williams.
Cody Bias is going to start third, one of our pro racers. Used to seeing that name come up. And Trent Ringler is going to start on the outside of him in fourth.
The third row is going to consist of the 36 of Justin Bolton and the 04 of Logan Clampett starts sixth.
Dylan Duvall in that 42, he's going to start seventh. And Louis Sparks is going to start eighth.
Ninth today on the grid in the 47 will be Chris Overland. And in the 8 car, Doyle Lawrence, he will start 10th.
Running in the 11th spot's the 29 of Brandon Smizer. Brad Lawson is going to start in 12th.
13th starting spot will be the 56 of Ryan Knapp, and Joshua Gear will start in 14th.
Damie Long's going to start in 15th in the 71, and Brad Patterson is going to start 16th. Yeah, Andy, keep going. Jason Laney is going to start 17th, and Joey Buscemi is going to start 18th. 19th is going to go to the 76 of Brad Neer, and Dave Swindell is going to roll off 20th.
And as the rest of the field gets set over across the ticker, you'll see the rest of the starters here tonight. They'll take one pace lap around this 2.5-mile speedway, and we get set to do that. I want to welcome alongside us also today here up in the booth, kind of give us a driver's perspective of this type of race also, is, of course, Paul Fugate. Welcome, Paul.
Glad to be here, Andy. Looking forward to this race today, and excited to be here and see what happens.
Yeah, we talked about the drivers that are in this race today. We got pro drivers, we got some regular drivers, we got drivers we see on other broadcasts over LSRTV over the course of the weeks on. So We got a pretty diverse field here today, and I think this is going to be something special. The thing these guys are going to have to remember is that there's 500 miles, 200 laps across this big speedway, topping speeds of close to 200 miles an hour, and at the same time, there's no resets. There's nothing for these guys to do, so avoiding wrecks is going to be key. Not getting any damage is going to be another one. But as the iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car gets ready to set on its way to the safety of pit road, the 51 of Tyler Laughlin sets the field under the pace. Green flag is in the air, and we're racing here at Daytona.
Take a look right there. Just dive the inside there. That bottom line is already starting to form as they head down into turn number 1. That was the 04 Logan Clampett. He's going to drop to the bottom there, and that's going to leave only the 48 and the 26 up on the outside. So they're going to start dropping back if they aren't careful. They have to get in line, or they're going straight to the back. Meanwhile, looks like Clampett might have been taking a look to the outside. Looks like Duvall might want to try and go out there. He's not going to. That's the 36, actually. Excuse me. That's the 36 of Justin Bolton. Meanwhile, the 26 finally found a spot in line.
Yeah, and we see another one of those drivers in the 48 of Robbie Williams started outside pole. He's dropped back now behind the 29 car of Brandon Smizor. That looks like about the 9th place position right now as they come across the stripe. Tyler Laughlin's going to lead lap number 1 here. Lap number 1 of 200, we should say, as it looks like the field now just kind of spread out. They're all single file for the most part, at least for the top 15, top 20 cars now as we look through the field. And it looks like everybody just trying to play it safe. It's one of those things, Cisco, that you don't want to take those chances. You don't want to drive over your head and push the issue this early in the race. A long way to go. It's definitely one of those ones we talked about. You really have to pace yourself. You don't want to lose the draft. You don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize yourself going down a lap or even getting in some damage here early on in this race. So these guys will definitely be a feeling out process here in the opening laps and finally complete that second lap right now. Still your leader. It's Tyler Laughlin.
And this is interesting. We saw Tyler Laughlin in the dual race. He actually dropped to the back and was trying to ride in the back to avoid incident. This time, though, he takes a very different strategy. Of course, it didn't work out for him in the duel, so I think he realized, hey, I need to be up front because it's pretty safe up here when you're leading. But this is going to be interesting here. I'm interested to see, maybe we see Chris Overland. He's kind of at the back of that lead pack. He might be trying to get a little bit separated from them or something like that. Not really sure yet. A lot of strategy here, though, can happen at these plate tracks.
Yeah, a lot of strategy comes into play, and I know it's in these guys' mind, just the fact of how long this race is. So definitely a feeling out process. We see it every Friday night on LSRTV with the iSuper Speedway series that strictly runs Daytona and Talladega, swapping it back and forth with different styles of formats of racing. But it's all the same thing, the plate tracks. And we all see it every week. That top side is definitely, with this new build, been the place to be to really get the pass, get the run down the back straightaway to get yourself into the lead. So it's definitely something we're going to watch out for as this race goes on. But right now, I just think these guys, as we look throughout this field, all single file right now, just trying to play it safe in the early going and don't want to be the cause of an issue or even have an issue of their own.
And we talk about kind of dominance, the guys who know how to do it well. There goes Chris Overland in that 47. If you were with us for the dual races last week, you saw that was the guy who would make the moves. He'd just go to the outside, and that thing could just haul on its own. He didn't need help. He would be able to side draft these guys on his own and make up spots. It was a very, very impressive run there. We were kind of talking. We thought that maybe he had taped up the nose a little bit for the duel so that he would have the ability to lead a line. But it's looking right now, he's still looking out. Maybe he's going to be the guy to watch here again to try and make these moves up to the front.
Yeah, you can see these guys every now and then ducking out, Paul, to get air to the nose of these things, just to cool them down. When you're sitting behind another guy like these guys are, so actually if leaders are starting to come up on some lap traffic here early. It looks like one of the cars that started on the pits, the 46, of Chris Atkins. He is down a lap, making it now 2 laps now. He had some connection issues, it looked like, early on, but he's on the track. He's got obviously plenty of time with 200 laps to make this up, but I think you see a lot of these guys just kind of ducking the nose out, trying to get air to it, just to keep this thing cool.
Yeah, I mean, we got this is a 500-mile race, 200-lap race. You know, stay single file. You know, keep the nose clean. You know, let's just keep it easy. You know.
Yeah, they have to. Oh, looks like we got a wreck right now. The 32 trying to avoid it through the grass, but guys having problems early. It looks like the 4 car, no caution. Everybody's going to keep going right now, but we'll see if we cannot bring up a replay for you. I believe the 4 car was trying to avoid a lot of that, but he did. He stayed out of it, but there was definitely some trouble just in front of him. I'm trying to get to see a car number here for somebody up in the wall. Looked like the 27 maybe, or the 77 of yeah, it was the 77. Joey Buscemi. Looks like he was the one with the problems in the tri-oval. And,
yeah, what happened there, Andy, actually, was the 76 of Brad Neer got down on the apron going through the tri-oval, tried to save it. We're kind of watching the replay right now. Went for a little bit of a dirt track motocross kind of session there in the grass, but, you know, it's early on. You know, these guys, they got to work on their concentration. That's probably going to be the toughest part tonight, you know. I talked to Sean in the iSuperspeedway pre-race show last night about it, and really the thing is here, it's kind of like a cage match, these super speedway races. You know, you have to be on par, because it's just a non-stop grudge match. You always have to be on your game. You can't really settle down. You know, that's kind of the myth of super speedway racing, is that you can kind of settle down and everything will be okay. But it's not really the case. I mean, you know, we think of this as just, oh, everyone's kind of just driving around. It's not that hard to drive. No, it's actually really hard.
Yeah, it is. It definitely takes a special type of skill set to run these tracks and run them well to know when you're going to get some openings here. It looks like the 42 right now up front, Dylan Duvall making a move to the inside. That's up Logan Clampett in the 04 right now. That was a pretty bold move there going down the back straightaway. Put them left side tires right on that yellow line to get around him. And now the 47 now, Chris Overland goes up to the high side to help Logan Clampett now make a move. And it looks like these two might form a bond here to move themselves up towards the front. But the trouble we saw on that front stretch, just got on the apron, got loose, got up the track, but it looked like he was trying to come back down. Got into the 77. Dylan Rafferty in the 40 also got some damage from that one also. So Dylan Rafferty, one of those Pro Series drivers that we'll have to keep an eye on, see if he can bounce back from this one right now. But we're starting to get some racing up towards the front there. Logan Clampett on the high side. He's got the help from Overland. They're making the move now as they've gotten their way up to that second spot now as they battle side by side with Cody Bias for second.
How about names that we hear a ton of the time up at the front of these packs, especially in the Pro Series? You know, I think this is going to be the pack to watch all day. You know, we have the Infinite Creative Solutions 42 of Dylan Duvall, the Menard Chevrolet of Chris Overland, the Team Chevrolet of that's Cody Bias in the 18. So yeah, it's crazy out here. Just kind of the talent that's up front. You know, these aren't guys that normally we see in these private leagues. We'll be seeing them, some of them anyway, in the Ascors League, which starts up next week. But in the meantime, these guys are just putting a clinic on. If you look back, they have a bit of a gap to that next pack, and that's Krzyzewski in the 24, Robbie Williams in the 48, Brandon Smizer in the 29, that 46 of Chris Atkins. That's kind of Dylan Rafferty's old teammate, I believe, as well as Trent Ringler and Louis Sparks. Louis Sparks and Trent Ringler, they also had a pretty good dual race. They're up front for most of the time, but I kind of think this pack is really going to be at the front for most of the race.
Yeah, we saw about 6 of those cars pretty much take off from the rest of the field there. But that second pack is definitely now climbing back up into it, which is good to see. I mean, that's promising to see as far as the race goes here this afternoon. That if these guys get single file, Paul, that they'll be able to catch a pack. So I think that part of the racing, that's definitely something that is good to see, especially early on, knowing that once pit stops happen, it usually breaks up the field as they run. It'll make it into these little clumps of groups, but it's good to see that if they get together like that and not race each other and just race in a line, that they can get enough speed and catch up to that pack in front of them.
Yeah, Andy, we haven't even hit our first pit stop, and like you guys were saying about these guys, there's a reason why these guys have the black stripes on their helmets and on their cars. You're seeing it on display right now.
That's going to be fun to watch. I love that second pack was able to catch back up there with Brandon Smizer leading the way there. The 45 came with him. The 20, the 28 of Brad Peterson's up there, and also the 68 of Lewis Sparks was able to make their way up. We'll see if there's a second pack now about that 11th spot, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th to be exact. There's 4 of them all sitting together. That's led by the 8 of Doyle Lawrence right now. Those 4 guys, if they can do it and they can get hooked up like they are, it looks like the 75 of Jason Laney is actually starting to fall off of this and lose the draft of those 3 in front of him. It'll be about another second back from him, or half a second, I should say. Or excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong number.
We got a smoker down on the infield. That's Tor Hellebo. And that 4 car looks like that's going to be terminal right there. Or at least they'll have to put a new motor in it. But not sure what happened, but looked like he spun off too right there. And that Chevrolet is just destroyed.
Yeah, it's destroyed. He looks like he's going way down to the grass to get out of the racing area. And he'll probably, unless he can limp it around through the grass like that to pit road, he might have to take the virtual tow, but it looks like he's coming out of turn number 4 there through the grass.
So dirt tracking it.
Surface, which is great, and he'll come down pit road, and we'll see if he'll have to retire or not, or if he'll sit it out for about 30 minutes or so to get that motor replaced. So we'll see what he does for that 4 car, but it looks like right now the first one that has retired from the race was a 77, Joey Buscemi. He was the one who was involved in that first early little wreck incident we had in the tri-oval about 10 laps or so ago. And it looks like the 4 might sit this one out and might get the damage repaired. But that top group right now, there's a second group right now led by Matt Quick in the 89. We'll take a peek at those guys right now. There's some pretty good racing with those guys. They're trying to catch up to that front pack. They're 13 seconds off the race lead, but they're only about 6 seconds back from the tail end of that second group right now on the racetrack. So it seems like a little bit more racing going on through this pack right now. They're too wide. They're dancing all over the place. But these guys really need to settle down if they want a chance to get up to these leaders right now. Of course, Matt Quick in the 89 leading that pack, or not leading the pack anymore. Brad Lawson in the 63 as they continue to switch up right now and switch positions. And I think they need to maybe get some word from their spotters on what they need to do to catch up to that front group, because those 2 packs were able to come back together with some good racing and good stay in single file.
It looks like they heard you, Andy. It looks like most of that group has managed to get single file now. There are 2 cars still on the outside that are kind of not really doing it. But in the meantime, everyone else, 63, 10, 83, 14, 41, 89, they're all on the line. They're trying to make it work and trying to get up to that 4-car pack, I would assume, to try and join those guys, maybe add them to the pack, and maybe then make the charge towards the lead.
Yeah, you look at these guys right now going into turn number 3. They were at 210 miles an hour right there in that
blistering.
That is just amazing right there, and that just shows you the speed though. 210 miles an hour going into turn 1. Just for a reference, that front pack was 208 miles an hour. It'll be a little bit slower on that front stretch because of that tri-oval. It's really that back stretch, the super stretch, that these guys really pick up the speed right now as the leaders still continue to be single file right now. And Paul, we talked about it at the beginning of the race and how it's just such a long race and the endurance aspect of it. How much, as a driver's perspective, the focus, how much does it take from a driver to be focused for this long of a race?
Well, this is a long time to sit and look at a computer screen. You know, my advice would be, just relax, loosen up, keep your fluids up, and that's about it. I mean, you're going to be in for the long haul. And Andy, I'm not surprised we're hitting these speeds. I'm looking at the track temperature right now, 65 degrees. It's overcast. No surprise. There's a lot of grip and a lot of speed out there.
Yeah, that's something awesome to see, obviously, with the overcast, the grip. And as these guys run, too, with this bottom line, the tire buildup's going to mount up to something, too, when you start getting into these 200-lap races. So we'll start to see that, too. You'll probably see a nice black stripe there about that first seam up the racetrack all around this place. Once this thing gets probably even the halfway point, we'll probably start seeing that, too. And as far as the tire wear, Paul, at a place like this, is this the type of race? Obviously, the tires do wear a little bit, but with the drafting, with that, do you think we'll see green flag pit stop? Do you think we'll see some strategies as far as guys maybe trying the 2 tires to try to maybe gain the advantage or try to for the guys in that second pack, 14th on back, to try to make up some time on these front pack?
Well, I've been experimenting with the setup with my team at Blown Gasket Racing this week on our Daytona setup for the big one, next weekend, and the tires have been wearing off a little bit. It takes about 17 to 20 laps for them to wear off, so you're going to see the guys start doing, what we call the qualifying line, which is you run low all the way down through the turns, and you drift up ever so slightly off the straightaways, then you go right back down to save those tires. So it's going to be interesting to see with the conditions the way they are. There you go. They're starting to do the qualifying line right there, and they're going to leave the 51 in the dust.
Yeah, absolutely. You see you guys trying Tyler Laughlin pretty much leading since the green flag now, led 21 laps. We finally see our first lead change right now, and that's the 04 Logan Clampa. He had help from Overland in the 47 to come up through the field to get up towards the front. They ducked down in line, but now it's kind of interesting. You see the 04 kind of jump down in that bottom lane, and it left the guy who helped him out. I mean, to me, that's not a way to make friends when you might need them towards the end of this race.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. But it's still early. I mean, we're only on, lap 22 of 200, so, I mean, you can forgive and forget there. It looks like the leaders are going to come up on some lap traffic here.
Yeah, lap traffic typically doesn't play a huge role if these guys stay single file. When they start being too wide, like you see back with Overland side by side right now with the 42 and Dylan Duval, that will get a little tight as this three cars that they see coming up on the field right now. It's led right now by the 57 of Bruce Menser. He started 41st, running 36th. Those three are about to go a lap down right now as the field roars past them through as they get back into turn number one. They're staying to the high side. They're hooked up, though, three of them. Obviously not running the speeds that this lead pack is running because they're getting past, but that's the only way that they're going to be able to survive and have an opportunity. And if they can latch on to the back of this pack right now, it really will help them to at least be up towards the front in case there is an accident or there is an opportunity. So they go three wide right now with the lap traffic. Overland, look at him doing it all by himself on that outside. I'll tell you, the side draft is there and it does work, Paul. But you gotta have confidence in the guy to your inside. You gotta have confidence in yourself and the fact that you can get that car right up next to him. You're not going to make any contact, and honestly, you gotta have faith in the service that you're not going to get a net code either.
Oh, the net code beware. The side drafting, been experimenting this week too with the team, and it's really, really different now with the new build out. You can kind of hang out there a little bit with the side draft, but it's do or die if you go up there.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like you literally have to stay next to that guy almost to the point where you can reach out and touch that other car. If you separate any type of gap between yourself and the guy inside you, the side draft really isn't there. And right now, Overland on the high side is going to get a little bit of help.
We got a spinner.
Oh, we did. Well, trouble with the 26 car. Let's see. That's Trent Ringler. Had some trouble, spun a little bit. He's able to stay going, and we're still green, which is pretty good right there. Good piece of driving by the 26, but he's obviously off the front pack now. He's going to have trouble. He's going to have that second pack roaring up to him right here down the back straightaway. He's actually going to have to move to the high side there and let these guys get by him, but trouble early for Trent Ringler. He's running in that top group right there. Something he didn't want to see.
Yeah, what a nice save by that 26 car. Looks like he just clipped the apron ever so slightly, but looks like there is no damage to the car, so he's going to keep going. He's still in this thing.
Got plenty of time, obviously, to make it up right now as we look back up towards the front, towards the leaders. You got Overland with the help of the 57, who is a lap down. He was one of those guys that the field just passed, but he jumped out there to help. And now you see the 18, Cody Bias, jumping to the outside. He was going to go up there and join the club, but look at Overland, goes back to the bottom, doesn't take the advantage of the speed the high side has, but gets hooked up with Logan Clampett again. And you see Tyler Laughlin, who tried to get that lead away. There's a little separation between him and Cody Bias. That's going to make the top side now push back just a little bit. Tyler Laughlin, though, going to battle hard as they're side by side for the lead at the stripe as they complete lap 27.
Yeah, Andy, I'm starting to see these guys start to get the car loose off of, looks like turn 2 and turn 4. It looks like those tires are finally starting to wear ever so slightly. So see those guys come off the bomb a little bit off the back stretch and the front stretch.
Yeah, as these tires start to wear off, obviously we'll start to see these guys. They start to push, they start to get loose. Different things happen with them, and when they start to run side by side like that, as these tires start to wear off, that's where you start to see how guys having some issues as far as keeping that car under control. Yeah, it looks like yeah, I believe yeah, it's going to be a long. I don't think there's anything less than 100% fuel load, Paul. So that's got to be at least 50 or 55 laps, right?
Well, we're about halfway through the fuel run. It looks like these guys are starting to get a little loose, you know, like I said earlier. So I'm curious to see, you know, will guys start making move on the inside off these corners? Looks like we got a battle for the lead.
That we do, and it looks like Overland's going to try it all by himself. He had a push from Laughlin. That was just enough right there as Laughlin ducks back down into that third spot. You get the 29 also on the outside. Brandon Smizer all by himself up there and right next to the 42 of Dylan Duvall. But we're going to have a new race leader for the first time here this afternoon. Chris Overland takes over your race lead on lap number 29. And with that said, take a break of our own before the green flag pit stops happen here today. And we're going to step aside and do some business. And you're watching the iRacerStuff.com 500. Right here live on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway for the iRacerStuff.com Daytona 500, the first annual right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. And we got a special guest maybe stepping in with us here in a moment. Ian Plash will join us for a little bit as we continue our coverage here, working lap number 35 of 200. We got 164 laps still left to go in this event, and we've seen a little bit of shuffling up front. Not anything crazy yet. There is $100 on the line for the race winner, so it's win or go home. Pretty much checkers or records for these guys, but they don't want to be on a record truck this early, as we see a little battle going on for that second spot right now. Logan Clampett going to be pushed up and out of the racing groove on the bottom, and the 51, Tyler Laughlin, going to make his way around, and here comes the 18 machine of Cody Bias, a Pro Series driver who had an opportunity and during the pro season to win that thing and win the championship, and he came up just a little bit short there at the end of it to Josh Berry. So Cody Bias, definitely a guy we know that you've heard a lot of over here on LSRTV over the last couple of months there on the Pro Series, winning a few of those races also. I think he had 3 wins over the course of the season, so definitely one of those guys there. But as we approach that point, we're getting close to it, probably about, 10, 15 laps or so. We might see some of these guys start heading down pit road, Paul. And if this thing stays green, what type of strategy or what kind of fuel mileage are these guys looking at?
Well, I just punched the calculator, Andy, and it looks like they can go 50 to 55 laps on fuel, and that would be about 4 to 5 stops, at least 4 stops, maybe 5. So this will be stop number 1, so at least have to pit 3 more times.
And obviously, when you have green flag pit stops, we talk about a lot of things that could go wrong. Pit road entry is one of them. You come down, first of all, you don't want to come down by yourself, so a lot of communication with the other cars on the track. It's one of those things where it's one of those things, Paul, that you got to make sure you got people coming down to help you. See, when you get back out on the track, you're going to have speed. You're going to have that draft to help you get the speed to get back up there and to stay at least competitive when things cycle out. The second thing is getting on pit road in a group. It gets pretty wild. You actually got to fan out. These guys are spread out because everybody's got different ways of braking and slowing down to get to pit road. But when you're going 210 miles an hour, how hard is it to drop off of the racetrack on that flat apron and to get woed down when you got cold brakes down to 55 miles an hour?
Well, the one thing you got to remember with the new build a couple months ago, you got marbles now to deal with on the apron. So you're going to have those sticking to your tires. You don't want to flat spot the tires. And another thing is, make sure your brake bias is adjusted correctly. You don't want to put all that front brake or rear brake in the car, otherwise you're spun out in that group and take out cars. So there's a lot of things you got to remember here.
And then, of course, not only the communication to get on pit road, but then the communication with those guys that you are pitting with. What your strategy is, 2 tires, 4 tires. Obviously, they're going to fill them up with fuel. You're going to be on pit road long enough to at least take 2 tires. Is that a possibility, Paul, or is the 4 tires really going to be the way to go?
Well, like Larry McReynolds says, if you're going to take a full load of fuel, why not take 4 tires? I mean, it's at least going to take you 12 seconds to fill the car with fuel. You might as well just take 4.
Well, you do have a point on that aspect, and we talk about some of these guys maybe hoping to try to save some time.
There's yellow.
Oh, we got a caution. Speaking of that, looks like the 29 of Smizer having some issues on the speedway. We'll try to pull up a replay as the replay goes on your screen right there. And he just looks like he just flat out got turned on that one, guys.
Yeah, that's too bad for the 29 car. Looks like the car's not damaged too bad, so it looks like he can do some repairs. It takes about a minute, 32 minutes to, pace around his track. So if he has less under 2 minutes, it looks like he'll be okay to go.
And also with the fact that, with damage at one of these restrictor plate races on these types of tracks, that can play a huge factor. The only good thing is with that is if you get behind somebody, get the air taken off of your front nose, then maybe a little damage on the front doesn't affect you, but the opportunity for you to possibly lead a line or try to get the win might be out of the question for some of these guys. But we've seen some funnier things in the past. Pit road obviously open this first time around, and looks like all your leaders going to take advantage of it. Obviously, coming down under caution, my idea is 4 tires as far as that's concerned. You have the opportunity to not lose a lot of time. Only a spot or two if you're slow, if your team is slow on the pit road. Oh, and it looks like the 47, Chris Overland, actually overshot his box right there. So a small mistake.
And the 51 overshot his box too.
And the 51 also. So, I mean, if you're going to make a mistake, it might as well be under caution, guys.
Yeah, but you saw him get single foul like that, Andy. It's going to be really hard to make your way back up, as it looks like we got the race off pit road.
And it looks like the 42, Dylan Duvall, is going to beat everybody off. And I remember him in the pro races this past couple months ago that his crew, just some reason, he had a way, he knew how to do it and get down on the pit road the quickest out of most anybody, get his service done and back on track. Looks like the 18 of Cody Bias will come out in that second spot here. So first round of pit stops is underway. We're going to take this moment, be able to step aside again, and we'll be back right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live for the iRacerStuff.com 500. We'll be back in just a moment. Laps will be complete when they get the green flag here, but it's been fun so far. Only one caution. We saw these guys get spread out, get single file, but it's good. We got a lot of diverse group of drivers, I would say, in this race here today.
Oh no, absolutely. The thing that's really different about this run, like this year 2016 more or less, is this is the first year we've had the dynamic track surface come to iRacing. Therefore, it's really starting to introduce some really interesting characteristics on this racetrack. We haven't seen it become so single file now, as the green flag will come out now, by the way, as I'm speaking now. But as I was saying, the face of this race completely changed over the course of the last few years compared to what we were seeing maybe like 2014, 2015. It's more or less now about who has the best handling car, who can hold on to their tires the longest throughout the whole entire run, and that's how you're going to be able to keep going, make moves, progress up and down the race field as you are continuing through your runs. So it should be absolutely no surprise that we see here through the whole entire top 5. Peak antifreeze drivers are holding that group of positions, and as I said, with the resources they have and the time they put in their setups, it should be absolutely no surprise. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here in the middle of the pack. We have like Lewis Sparks here in 6th, Robbie Williams 7th. You gotta see these guys can take it to these iRacing pros.
Yeah, we talk about the pro drivers obviously using this to their advantage, getting the seat time with their setups to tweak on them. Here's the battle for the lead now as Overland goes to the high side over Duval. He's going to bring Logan Clampett with him, go back to the race lead. And you talk about these guys, Paul, with these Pro Series drivers, and they're utilizing the opportunity because in a couple weeks they get to do battle themselves in season 1 race, or the season opening race at Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Free seat time, get those setups tuned up. And I'm not surprised that 47 jumped out there. I've been noticing that on the warm-up lap, the leader coming off turn 4 just hits a huge brick wall, and that second place guy can really get a run if they get the guys with them to go around him.
Yeah, and you see right there, Clampett was up there helping him. Clampett jumps down to the bottom. He's going to leave a space there. It looks like slows up everybody just behind him. Let's Overland in front of him there. So we've seen those two guys so far in this race, been working together pretty much since the drop of the green flag, and you can see him continuing right now to work on this. Cody Bias right now, though, giving the push to Dylan Duval. They're the top 2 right now, and everybody's single file. A little bit of a checkup around the 51 right now. The 36 actually getting pushed out. That's Justin Bolton. We talked about some of these guys mixed up in here in the top 10 that aren't pro drivers, and they're trying to tune their setups and trying to get themselves ready for the Daytona 500 that'll be coming up on the iRacing service as far as their what is it, NICS or their NIS race. That's what it is. I'm thinking of a TV show, I think, NCIS. So we see a couple guys, though, on the high side trying to make it work, and they're actually making up some ground right now. See one car jump out in front of them. That is the 36 of Justin Bolton, but that's the 71 right now of Damie Long, and, of course, the 89 of Matt Quick, one of the regulars you'll see every Friday night right here on LSRTV in the iSuper Speedway Series. So that's a pretty cool thing right there to see Matt Quick up here, and they're 3 wide right now, the 71, trying to get out of it there. Tyler Laughlin forcing the issue, going up the middle. And now we start to see some racing going on here right now, Ian, as these guys start to battle it up 2 by 2.
Oh yeah, this is definitely the time you gotta start racing. As we look at that now, 1 lap ago we were single file all the way through about 10 position. Now we are 2 by 2 for pretty much the entirety of this pack. Christopher Overland will now be leading that outside lane. Justin Bolton in tow, along with Dead Zone Racing driver Tyler Laughlin there. On that high side, this is the time to start making the moves. You have the grip in the tires. You can still hold that outside line fairly well without pushing up the racetrack early on in the run. So these guys, they know it. They got to get as much ground as they can early in the run, because eventually it drops single file. It gets very difficult to pass around this racetrack.
Yeah, we see these guys. We see these guys, Paul. I was going to say, Paul, with the and ask you this: the top, because you obviously race a little bit more than I do, but that top side I've seen over the last build, maybe 2 builds. That top side's really where the speed is. If you can get enough guys up there, that's where you're going to make your pass for the win. That's going to be where you make your pass to get that lead and to get out in front of all these guys. It used to be if you could be that front car and just stick your car to that yellow line, you really couldn't lose. It was really tough to pass on the outside.
Well, yeah, I guess so much for staying single file and being patient here. It looks like these guys are getting really, really racy, and it looks like we got a lap car. 24 looks like he's going to go high. Can they make it through? Yes. But to go on your point about the high side, it's been really interesting, through the testing and all this stuff out there, all these hosted sessions. yeah, you need guys up there, but like we were talking about earlier, you need to almost side draft them the whole time to gain anything. And where you really gain them through side drafting is on the straightaways.
Yeah, you can really see it if these guys can get hooked up. Like Ian, we see it all the time, especially on the Friday nights here in LSRTV. If you can time it just right and get right on that guy's bumper on the exit of turn 2, that top side is just unbelievable. And it almost looks like they can pass these guys on the bottom, almost like they're standing still. 210 miles an hour we've seen so far with the overcast conditions today. That's a pretty high-end speed there for these guys getting down into the corners, which also in turn, as you were talking about, as the tires wear off over the course of a long run, that can make the driving a lot interesting too.
Oh, no, for sure. These overcast conditions are definitely introducing a lot higher speeds than we're used to seeing, and they are absolutely barreling into these corners. 210 miles an hour for the leaders sometimes we're seeing enter the corners, and that is just insane. You see the regular conditions, leaders hitting typically 204 to 206, so that little bit of extra speed is going to factor into this tire wear as well. But again, those lower temperatures could also be helping out with that, so these conditions definitely optimal with some good old pack racing.
Hey, good old pack racing is exactly what you like to see. Some high-speed chess, as a lot of people like to call it right now. Logan Clampett, though, in the front of the pack, all by himself. Overland leaves him a gap there to drop back inside. So, again, those two continuing to help each other out right now. The 36 of Bolton looking to the high side again. He's got one other car out there, Tyler Laughlin. He'll duck back down. No, he won't. He'll stay to the high side right now. A lot of these guys, we'll see him poking their nose out, trying to get that clean air onto the nose, keep these cars cool. That's one thing you don't want to do, is have a car blow up right in front of you and have one of these guys expire an engine. That will obviously cost you the end of this race. We talked about it, though, too. It's checkers or wreckers for a lot of these guys. You don't, what we talked about, you don't want to be the wrecker at the beginning of the race. You definitely want to make it to the end, make it for the opportunity to come out with the $100 prize for the winner. So it's one of them things. You got to be aggressive, but you got to be patient at the same time and pick your moves at the right time and not force the issue. Just if you can't get down in front, if you're not quite clear, just stay to the high side.
Andy, I'll quote the great Darrell Waltrip: "Co-opetition." That's what you gotta do right now. Cooperate with the competition.
I like that. I like that and was patiently aggressive. That's another good little term like there too. But you still see a couple of these guys. The front pack, about 12 cars right now, and a little further back about, you're almost about 18 right now. 18 cars on this front pack right now, and it's just, it's pretty, I'm just liking what I've seen so far. So far, right now, 32 cars still on the lead lap. A few cars still a lap down right now currently. Those guys definitely, with the amount of laps in this race, aren't out of contention just as of yet. A couple cars, though, have obviously pulled it behind the wall here today. The 77 of Joey Buscemi was the first to do it, and, of course, the 4 of Torhel Bibo. He is out of this race as well. The front pack, though, continuing to show the way. A lot of promising drivers up front there. A lot of guys looking for a peak championship coming up in the next few months.
Yep, and you just rode on board with Cody Bias and that 18 Infinite Solutions machine. And just looking at the back bumper of Duval here, really that's just his job right now. He's riding, he's just trying to, hold the car the best he can right behind that number 42 to keep their speed up the best they can. And you got to look in the mirror now as we have Logan clamping really hard on the door of Lewis Sparks now. He's going to try to make up some ground with the help of Christopher Overland on that outside lane. But you saw as I go into 3, it's very difficult to hold that middle line very well, I should be saying. The car likes to push up the racetrack just ever so slightly. And that takes away what little side draft you're getting here. And you just look at the numbers up top as well. It's not for good for their cause. As service there, we see 04, 47 drop into the back.
Yeah, I was watching on the onboard of Cody Bias. I'm looking at his hands, and it's pretty violent right now. I'm surprised. Daytona, new pavement, smooth, but he's really sawing at the wheel right now. That proves that these tires are falling off with this new dynamic build, and the car is really shaking from the draft as well.
Yeah, we're about 15 laps or so into this run right now. The second run, we've had one caution here so far in this race, and right now you're looking about a front pack here. It looks like all the way back to the 79 of Logan Cathcart right now, all single file. We see some of these guys drop out of line, and get some decent run and try to make up a couple spots there. But then you'll see them drop back down just like they're doing right now, single file, riding around, letting these laps tick by, planning their pit stops. I mean, you're constantly thinking of things. You're obviously keeping focus in the car, what you have to do. You can't really see much when you're on the guy's back bumper of anything else in front of you except that bumper that's in front of you. And if you can't memorize the sponsor that's on their deck lid by the end of this one, then you obviously weren't paying attention. So these guys got obviously a lot of work to do, a lot of concentration that goes into this, and at the same time, a lot of calculation, fuel stops, a lot of talking to other competitors, figuring out their other strategies when they're going to come down pit road. There's so much that goes into it. And the majority of the races you'll see on iRacing, on broadcast, or a race like this, 100 laps, 125 maybe. When you get into a race like this with 200 laps, it's just absolutely amazing that these guys can keep the concentration level up that high for that long.
No, absolutely. Definitely how the race is panning out right now, where it's mostly single file in the latter portions of the run, where you really got to start thinking about, what am I pitting? Will I possibly think of 2 tires? Track position, where do I want to be? Like, it definitely helps out with your mental state when you have a little bit less going on. Now you go to a place like Talladega or even Daytona of old, like 2 years ago, where you're nothing but 2x2 racing, and your brain gets absolutely worn out. Got to put the spotlight on number 51. He is absolutely on the move, Andy.
Yeah, that was definitely a good move right here. Him to jump out to the high side. Logan Clampett, he's got the 47, a little bit off the rear bumper for now. He'll catch back up with the draft, but you got 3 cars right now trying to make that outside line work. They're going to go side by side with Dylan Duvall, who's led pretty much since we got the green flag on lap 40-something, 2, 3, 4, somewhere
44.
around that point. But Dylan Duvall has definitely been showing the way here in this second run. And the 51, though, of Tyler Laughlin has definitely been one of the ones to watch out, too. He led that good part of that first 30, 35 laps of this race. So a couple of those guys that have been up front all race long so far and continue to do so here as we work lap number 60, 141 laps still left to go in this one. Plenty of time for something crazy to happen, and plenty of time if you're one of those guys back in 18th, 19th spot right now to make your way up to the front and contend with these guys that are up here right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised that 51 came from almost 8 positions back with that 04, pushing them. So the high line can work if you want to. And one thing I've found out through drafting practice is, like, halfway through their run, that low lane will start checking up because guys are starting to get loose, tires are starting to wear, and you need to use the wheel more on the bottom, so guys are checking up, riding that brake a little bit, and if you go on the outside, you can just go full bore if you want.
Yeah, and being on the outside, you actually have that extra lane above you when you're going off the corners to have maybe a little bit of wiggle room for yourself. If something, if the car starts to get a little bit loose or tight, it gives you a little bit more room to grasp it. When you are that guy or those cars that are on the bottom, you have nowhere to go. If you go any lower down below that line, you catch that apron, it's definitely going to put the car loose, going to get you sideways, and if you're up in the front of the field, that's something you don't want to see. It could cause potential havoc on the rest of the field, but that outside line seems to be the safer side, if per se, because you got a little bit more room to forgiveness than you do on the bottom side. Because if you have any trouble on the bottom, you're going to probably push up right into that car to your outside.
Yeah, the high side in plate racing has always been really. Oh wow! Tyler Laughlin tried to force it in front of Lewis there, almost causing a little bit of trouble there. But that's Lewis Sparks, excuse me. But we have 3 wide now for 4th. Clampett gets shuffled out to the outside by Christopher Overwind. Overwind is going to make the move and get right back to that back bumper of the 51. Let's see if those two can't make any moves. But back down to the point about the high side. The high side is where you want to be to start making the moves and whatnot. It is the most safest in that regard, but it's also the most dangerous place you can be if a wreck starts happening in front of you. You're on the low side. You have the option to go way down to the grass. You have the option to check out and possibly move high. You're on the outside when a wreck happens in front of you. You're basically at the mercy of those around you. It's a really difficult position to be in.
Yeah, it is, and we see some lap traffic now coming back into the pictures. These guys storm off of turn number 2 and down this super stretch here at Daytona, and they'll catch this lap traffic. You can see the difference in speed when they get to them and how quickly they can work their way around them here. It's a 3-car still continuing to chug along. I'll give that guy, Travis Smith, 1 lap down, now 2 laps down. Looks like he grazed the wall right there off of turn number 4, able to keep that thing straight. That's definitely a hold your breath moment for these leaders.
Yeah, and another thing too, Andy, we're about halfway through this run. So now the deal making begins. Who do you come with? The spotters and crew chiefs for these guys. Start making the deals. When do you want to come in? How do you want to come in? What are you going to take for tires? So we'll go see what happens here in about another 20 laps.
Yeah, definitely. We talked about that a lot with the communication factor when you talk about green flag pit stops. It's not only communication with your crew, it's communication with the other drivers on the racetrack too. Guys, you got to have trust in and faith in that when you do make that dive to pit road, that you guys are going to be able to fan out and give each other room and be able to get on pit road safely, and then also to have that confidence in that guy that when you do come back out on the track, he'll be able to hook up to your bumper and you guys can get back up to race speed. So that when the cycle continues and the cycle gets over with, that everything should all group back up together real nicely if everything works out just right.
I want to go back to Justin Bolton back there in the 9th position. He's following in suit with Colin Broward. You don't really see, or Colin Ball, excuse me, in the 14. He's making a pretty solid run up here. He's been quietly sitting top 10, top 15, but Bolton will now make a quick disposal of that 14, move himself up to the 8th position. But one thing these drivers can do as the run progresses and these tires really start wearing out, which you usually don't see a lot, is actually start arcing into the corner. You see some of these guys, middle of the pack, if they're not under pressure, start moving up the track, just like you see Tyler Laughlin doing there into one, and he'll start arcing it back down into the bottom of the racetrack as they enter the corner. That's a little thing you can do to start saving tires, and at the very end of the run, that can be the difference between being able to hold the line and protect your position, or even pass the guys who can't hold the bottom anymore. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics to this race that we haven't seen, and it'll be interesting how it plays off as this racetrack rubbers in.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a separation there, Paul. I was talking about this earlier in the race. A couple little groups that happened. We had this front pack that was about 12 cars or so all the way back to Matt Quick there in the 10th spot. And then the 71, Damien Long, him and Swindell and Cathcart, they were a little bit separation there, but they get lined up like they just did. And you can see them now come back into the picture now. So we got a 15-car front pack, if you want to call it that. They're all single file. They're all here at the moment. You got to be here. You start looking at these guys like the 75 of Jason Laney in the 16th spot. These guys are 10, 11, 13 seconds back from the race leader. They're absolutely not out of contention by any means when it comes to this thing, when it comes to these types of tracks. But with those guys, for them, this could be obviously a little difference maybe in the setup-wise. Maybe the handling characteristics for these guys is a little bit different, which makes it a little tougher to drive to the corner, which will scrub a little speed. And when I'm talking a little speed, I'm talking thousandths, hundredths of a second that could cause, in lap after lap, that's what puts you back this far.
Well, one thing I've noticed, Andy, is that the top 9, all black stripes, pro drivers. Then you got, you got your A guys. Then, back there, you got, other guys. But those guys from 16th to 31st, they don't care what happens up front. They are avoiding the big one. We're on lap 68 coming to 69. You want to avoid the big one. Another thing you pointed on, Ian, is how they're drifting up. A lot of guys through hosted sessions, and I've done it with these pro guys a little bit, they call it the qualifying line, like I alluded to earlier. It's where you drift up the track a little bit, like you are qualifying, so that way you can save your tires. And it looks like some of those guys are starting to do it already, as we're about 15 laps away from pitting.
Yeah, we got to keep in mind, too, there were a few guys that took the wave around on that first go about there under that caution. So those guys should be coming down pit road, I would think, rather quickly here in the next few laps. But as far as the leaders, these guys still have about probably, I think like you said, Paul, about 15, maybe 20 laps tops before they're going to have to start coming down pit road. So we might see pit road start to get a little busy here over the next few minutes, but we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, it looks like taking a look here, it looks like Logan Clampett, you guys just mentioned, had some technical issues as far as the sim, and he's been kicked out of the sim. He was running in the top 5, battling for the lead, led some laps here early on, but if he can't get into this race pretty quickly or back into it pretty quickly, it's definitely going to spell the end of the day for Clamp Nation.
Yeah, tough breaking for Logan Clampett. There's no worse time than to disconnect in the middle of a green flag round like that. And he's been gone for quite some time now, so we got to believe maybe he's having some electrical issues. some power shields in there just flat out went out, and that's just a really unfortunate break. But I'm looking up at Lewis Sparks now, and that number 68, and he's actually been getting pretty loose every time we enter a corner and go through the middle of the tri-oval, so we got to be pretty careful about that as this run progresses. That car is starting to look pretty evil.
Oh, like we were alluding to, these tires are starting to wear now, so what'll be interesting to see is will guys start going on that inside off the corners, to take positions, or are they just going to hang out here and wait till pit stops?
That's one of the things you got to hang on to it. If the car is ill handling, green flag pit stops, you know they're close. You just got to really hang on to it. And I think the 68's doing what he can right now. Looks like Logan Clampett connecting back into the sim right now. So at this point, Logan Clampett is well off the thing. 8 laps, probably going to be about 9 laps before he gets back onto the racetrack. So he'll be having some issues. So we had word down there, Paul, that these guys are going to be looking for about 15 to 20 laps. They're going to be heading down pit road.
Yeah, I'm just punching the old calculator, and should be between lap 85 and 95 around there. It depends how much fuel they saved under caution, which a lot of those guys were, so we'll see when they come down.
We hear the chatter over the radio starting to get a little happy for some of these guys, and definitely the deal making starts to begin for a lot of these guys, trying to figure out when and if and who they're coming down pit road with. As we mentioned, a lot of these guys will be seeing that in the next 15 to 20 laps here as they run right now. But continuing to lead this thing right now, Dylan Duvall. He's doing a great job up front.
Yep, as actually I need to hop out of the booth here. It's about that time. I have a car to go race and qualify my way to another 500-mile event just like this one. So it's been a pleasure being up here in the booth. It's been fun watching this and learned a couple of things that I could probably apply to my race here. But yeah, good luck to the rest of these drivers. You got a long way to go. Only working lap 74 now of 200. And before I go, I'm going to say my pick for the win, Chris Overland in that 47. Watch out for him. He knows how to get it done.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by, Ian, and hanging with us. And I'm sure you're going to be hearing a lot more of Ian Plash here over the near future here on LSRTV. So we thank you again for jumping up here and hanging out with us for a bit.
It appears actually that the iRacing service just went down, so I'm going to wait this out a little bit, actually.
Well, that sounded familiar from last night. We had a race to cover, a broadcast right here on LSRTV. We talked about it a little while ago about the iSuper Speedway Series, and iRacing decided to have one of their glitches at about 9 o'clock, and it looks like we're having a lot more guys having some issues too. So hopefully the server can hold up for this race. It would really put a damper on things if it was to end pretty early if the server had crashed. So we'll keep our fingers crossed as this happens, but pit stops still about 15 laps or so away. We're going to step aside for a moment, take a break, as you watch the iRacerstuff.com Daytona 500 right here on Live Sim Racing, the voice of sim racing. And we're back live here at Daytona International Speedway, the iRacerStuff.com Daytona 500, and we had some trouble. Some guys coming down pit road, 96 and the 63 involved in an accident coming to pit road. Hopefully we can get a replay up of that. And the replay is up on your screen right now. And it's exactly what we talked about, Paul, with having communication with the other drivers as you're coming down pit road to know where you're going to go and fan out and, do everything right. And it looked like we had some trouble already on the first green flag stop.
Yeah, not a shocker. I mean, even the pro guys, can mess up. So, it's no shocker to me that it happens. I've seen it a lot.
And we'll come back and take a look at our leaders here, leading the pack, leading the field through. Oh, and it's going to get tight right there. Dylan Duvall had to make some evasive action there to get around the 4 car of Tora Helbo. And, man, he was down on the bottom, went right to the top, but that was exactly where the 42 was. And what a piece of driving right there by Dylan Duvall to avoid them right there as the leaders continue to run through here, working lap number 81. Look at the lap traffic right now. It's on the low side. It's on the high side. They're all over the place. This is unbelievable.
Well, what started this was the 68 and 19 short pitting. They pitted about 5 laps early, so it started a trend. Looks like half the field's pitted now. So these guys up front, they can, probably go another 5-7 laps maybe. So I'll be curious to see how this works out and how much separation the field gets.
Yeah, it's definitely one of them things that will separate this field. We had 32 cars on the lead lap. Right now, because of pit stops, we only got 16 showing currently on the lead lap. So obviously that'll change as the leaders come down to make their green flag stop here in a few laps. So it'll all get mixed up. But right now we're looking at 15 cars on the lead lap.
I'm listening to the radios guys down here, and I just heard the 14 of Colin Bauer say the tires are gone. So maybe you might have to short pit here a little bit to get good tire wear. So my, how the plot thickens. These crew chiefs and these drivers have to figure out, do you short pit or do you go the full fueler one? We're going to find out here. It looks like these top 6 guys are banking on going to the fuel one.
It could be. Obviously, it looks like the second place driver, the 18, Cody Bias, is just declared he's going to come down pit road. So I think you're going to see these top 6 guys come down this text time by. But we talked about tire wear, and they can't even make a full fuel run because the tires are so bad. That's something to keep an eye on later in the race, because if some of these guys, maybe mid-pack or so, that didn't have the speed, as you can see these guys head down pit road, and you can see how they fanned out for the top pro driver. Look at Laughlin, hot and heavy into pit road. Oh, trouble. Wow.
It's so hard, Andy, to go from 200 to 60 miles an hour like that. And maybe some of these guys didn't forget to adjust their brakes or brake biases or cold brakes. So nice save by all those guys.
That shows you by the save that they are pro drivers, but it also shows you that pro drivers can have issues also coming down pit road. It looks like the 04 slid through his box just a bit. 42, 47, they're down and away. The 18's down and away. And for Tyler Laughlin, coming in hot and heavy like he did, a speeding penalty on pit road. That is going to cost him a bunch right there.
Yeah, I thought that 51 was a little bit fast in there, so he did get the penalty. I'm surprised he also didn't get an unsafe entrance penalty, too, hitting that cone, so hopefully he doesn't get double whammied by that.
Yeah, we'll see. It might give him an extra penalty of sitting on pit road, but Tyler Laughlin obviously having some issues here. He is coming back out on the racetrack. He does have help, though. He's on the racetrack with the 04 of Clampett, so at least he has a partner. At least he has somebody else now that he can work with. Both of those guys. We're running in the top 5 here before the round of pit stops. But up front, you still have the 42, the 18, the 36. Those 3 are working together. They're coming up on the 47, Overland, who got out of his pit stall a little bit early, but he should be able to catch on to the back of this pack right here, this 3-car little pack here. This all will be for the race lead here as they work off of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. We'll see if the 47 Overland can hook up with them. If one of them will maybe tap the brakes a little bit, give them a break, let them catch up to the draft. It looks like he might be able to have it. The 68, the 48, just behind him. That's Lewis Sparks and Robbie Williams. We're currently running 5th and 6th. They're coming up on this little group here too. So all these guys here, the 71, good stop by him, Damien Long. He's running 7th spot right now. He'll try to get with this group also. So all these guys making a thing. But then there's a pretty big pack, Paul, that has formed after the pit stops. It's all being led right now by the 14 of Colin Bauer. He's got about 6-7 cars now with him.
Yeah, and it looks like the guys who stayed out 4 or 5 laps longer and maintained the lead. The first guy who pitted on lap 79, that 68 car right there, he's still up there. But a lot of those other guys who pitted early, they're back in that big pack. So, a little interesting thing here. And after this round of pit stops, this reminds me a lot of the 2004 Daytona 500. It was a long green flag race. I think there was only maybe 3 cautions in that whole race. I think about the last 80 laps, but caution-free, that's the one where Dale Jr. won him, of course, in the old 8 Budweiser car. But this kind of feels like that one. And remember how hugely separated that got. I mean, there was only 5 cars in that last pack for that race, so it looks like this is what it's going to be like. So pit stops now are huge. Like Larry McGrail said, you can live and die on pit road. You can win the race on pit road, but you can lose it real easy. It looks like that 51 car might have just lost it.
Yeah, that's trouble. Obviously for him, he's going to be forced to hope for a caution flag to come out and help him to get back up to the get back into the pack to have an opportunity to get up towards the front here. As you got to battle for the lead, the 47 Overland. He didn't get him at the stripe right there, but he's going to pull ahead of the 42 of Dylan Duvall. Currently, the bottom side though, it's going to battle back right now. It's like a big brick wall that outside line really hits when it goes through the corners. They lose all their time there. They gain it though on the back straightaway. As you can see, the 47 Overland still starting to pull away just a little bit, and then it's like they die off once you get into the corner, because obviously that bottom side, it still is the shortest way around the racetrack.
Oh yeah, it is. And remember what I said earlier, co-opetition. These guys are battling. We're on lap 88. We're almost halfway. Why would you do that? Oh, we got caution. That just threw my whole theory out the window there.
Another caution here on the speedway. We'll try to figure out 21, it sounds like. The 41, excuse me, the 41. Having some issues right there. Nigel DeJong having something happen with him. Replays up on your screen right now as we try. Like the 24 got a little help, a little assistance by the 89 of Matt Quick into turn number 3, pushed them up the racetrack, got into the 41, both of them going into the wall. The 24 heavily damaged right there. It looks like the 41 also with some heavy damage. So caution right here. The caution helps a lot of these guys jump back up into the pack right there. One of those guys that's got to be breathing a sigh of relief is definitely the 51 of Tyler Laughlin. Having that miscue on pit road cost him a bunch of time and a bunch of positions on the racetrack, but now all that can all be bunched back up together. Now he's just going to have to work his way through the field and work his way through traffic. Here's the field. Catches up to the pace car down the back straightaway. Chris Overland still your race leader, and obviously pit road will still be open, or will be open this time by, and that'll allow your leaders to come back in, get some more time. Even though they were on pit road, we're under caution. This is a great opportunity for them to get another pit stop in.
Oh yeah, definitely. If I was the 51 of Tyler Laughlin, I would give 5 Hail Marys right now, because that just saved his race.
It absolutely saved his race. Saved a bunch of guys from going laps down, a lap down also too. So we had 32 cars on the lead lap before that round of green flag pit stops. Right now we're showing 24 on the lead lap. But for the guys that are one lap down, 25th spot through 30th, those guys were just on pit road. This is an opportunity for them to get a wave around and still not be too far off of pit strategy with the race leaders, as pit road is open. And everybody coming down pit road to take advantage of this. The 47 of Chris Overland. Now, we know they were just on pit road. Do you take the 4 tires to be safe, or do you just take the fuel only and get back out there, keep your track position?
Well, if you're going to take fuel only, you might as well take 2 tires. Probably going to take about 7 seconds to get this full of fuel. We ran about only about 7 laps for some of these guys, 10 laps for others. So we'll be curious to see what everyone does here. Looks like some guys did take fuel. That 14 might take no tires. Some guys took 2, race off pit road.
Yeah, pretty good battle. I was watching the 47 and the 42. They were running 1-2 at the time of the caution. Came down pit road. Both of those guys goes for the 4 tires in fuel, but it looks like a few of them, like the 14 car, Colin Bauer, decided to gamble a little bit on strategy, possibly taking no tires and just fuel only. It was the opportunity for those guys to take that, gamble.
Why not, I guess? You only... I'm not sure when he pitted last, but bare minimum, he only ran... The maximum he ran was about 10 laps, and the minimum maybe 7, so maybe not a bad idea here to take fuel only. I'm surprised nobody else took that gamble. I think he's the only one who took fuel.
Yeah, it looks like that the 5, Brandon Holt, he's 1 lap down. He stayed out. So, yeah, all those guys that are a lap down, they decided to stay out, which is a good choice for them. Well, we'll see because pit road's open for them this time by. But I do believe a lot of those guys will decide to stay out, maybe. Looks like a few of them going to come down pit road. A couple of them, the 63 of Brad Lawson, deciding to stay out on the racetrack, get his lap back. Looks like about everybody from the 24th, 29th decided to stay out. They will not get service done. They will get themselves back on the lead lap, which will obviously put them back into contention. And it looks like we're going to try to drag up a driver that we can make some contact with. It looks like the 71 of Damie Long is out on the racetrack and he's available. Damie, this is Andy and Kessler in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, hi.
How you doing? It's been an interesting race. You found yourself up in the top 5, top 10, pretty much most of the afternoon so far. We're approaching that halfway point. This is only the second caution. Have you been surprised there's been this few of cautions here so far?
I've actually been surprised that there hasn't been more cautions. It's been a lot of fun.
That it has. It looks like some pretty good racing. It looks like at sometimes a lot of most of the field deciding to just run single file, kind of let the laps tick off and give themselves an opportunity to still be in this thing by the time the end. Do you expect the second half of the race to start ramping up the energy and maybe the chances that some of these guys will take?
I would say with at least 50 to go, that things will probably get crazy.
Well, obviously, a long fuel run, when you start having these green flag pit stops, it tends to have some mistakes. We see a lot of guys having some mistakes getting on and off pit road here during these green flag pit stops. How much of that has been on your mind over the course of this race?
I think especially green flag pit stops is one of the most important things of a race like this because you can gain a lot of positions very easily if you get a good pit stop.
Well, Mr. Long, I've noticed that the handling has been a very interesting topic of discussion on the radio. How is the handling out there? And it seems like some of those tires are wearing off after about 40 laps.
With about 10 before the pit stop, they just get terrible. You can't hardly stay down.
Well, I was going to say we appreciate you hanging out with us here for a second, but we know you got a lot of work to do, so we'll let you get back to it.
Thank you.
All right, there was the driver of the number 71, Damie Long, and having a pretty good race, a solid race, Paul. He's been up in the front and kind of minding his own business, but he's been doing a good job there, keeping himself up there. But as he said with the tires, it seems to be about 10 laps before the fuel would run out that they really start to fall off.
Yeah, that'd be about 40 laps into the run, so that's where we have been seeing guys, and at about lap 40 of a run, some of those guys were short pitting. So Right now, they can at least go 2.5, 3 stops maybe now if it goes green the rest of the way, which I don't think it's going to. But this is still a 2-stop race, so these guys have to pit, like I said, at least 2 more times.
And with that, 2 more times, we'll get set to stack them back up right now as the pace car gets ready to dive back to the safety of pit road. We've only had 2 cautions here so far. 93 laps are going to be complete when they get the green flag. Pace car is off in the 14 of Colin Bauer. A little bit of strategy on pit road. The only one to try something different than these leaders. He's going to get your lead here as they rumble back down into turn number 1. The 42, though, Dylan Duvall found some space, gets down to the bottom. The top side, still 3, 4, 5, 6 cars still up there on that top side. We'll see if they can get anything done and get back up to the race lead right now as the 14 of Colin Bauer continues to lead here off turn 2.
Yeah, I'm noticing that one car there, Swindell, started 20th, now running, looks like in the 4th spot as he fades back a little bit. Nice job working his way up there.
Yeah, a little bit of strategy, I think, for him also on pit road. Maybe a 2-tire stop for him to get him up into the top 5 right now. And you can see that 14 car seems to maybe struggling a little bit with the handling, with not getting the fresh tires. The top side's going to get the advantage right here. Dylan Duvall, with the help of Chris Overland, going to get to that top spot. The 48 now of Robbie Williams left out all by himself on that top side. His only help is about 3 or 4 car lengths now behind him. That's the 68 of Lewis Sparks, who's been running up towards the front all race long too. So we've seen all these guys up here at the front of the field, and you see a couple of them here. The 51 actually mixed back up into this right here for Tyler Laughlin. He's back on the racetrack, and he's back up there contending, or at least riding with these guys. He's sitting in the 9th spot right now, so he's doing a great job to rebound after the issues he had.
Yeah, like I was saying before, it does not pay to be the leader, on the first lap after the restart. It feels like you hit a big ball of air. I wasn't shocked that 42 car went around the 14 off of turn 4. That's about where it happens at.
And it does, gives the advantage to that. Look at Laughlin, though, trying to get some side draft off the 14. Out to the outside, jumps Overland. Yeah, he's just amazing right there, and he's going to give the push to Overland to get to the race lead, but then they hit the brick of air right there. Yeah, he was. That was just some great driving by him. I think he was utilizing that side draft to his advantage on that outside line. Now puts him back up into contention. So that mistake on pit road, you can erase that for the 51 of Tyler Laughlin. He's back where he has been most of the race, up there in the top 5. That top group, though, about 10, 12 drivers right now, all the way back to the 7 of Bobby Stewart right now. Still kind of contending for positions right now. They're not single filed just yet. The 8 and 78 starting to fall back just a bit. Doyle Lawrence and Chris Templin right now on that high side, about to be overtaken by the 7 car. Looks like there's going to be room, and the 8 car is going to jump down. They'll leave the 78 all by himself, but still top side. You got Overland and you got Laughlin, the only 2 really trying to contend here up in the front.
Tyler Laughlin is my Mr. Where did he come from? That's like the 3rd time he's come back from the pack and gotten into the top 5. He was running 8th, and he made it to 3rd. Now it looks like he's going to drop back to, looks like the 5th position, but if I had to pick anybody, it'd be Tyler Laughlin. I mean, I can't believe the drafting he's doing. Just an amazing side drafter. So he might be Mr. Closer here. Watch that 51 car.
And it looks like he's actually working really well with Chris Overland in that 47 right now. Of course, Overland, for the first majority of this race, was working with Logan Clampett, but then obviously the connection issues with Logan Clampett, that put him out of the race and out of contention, and he has since retired from the race. So Overland was working well with that 04, but now he's got to find somebody else, and it looks like the 51 is giving him that security, I guess, and somebody to work with here. Of course, those 2 guys going to get ready to do battle in a pretty good and wild season that'll be happening on Peak Series. And, of course, that this year no longer on PSRTV. It's now on Race Spot, so hopefully everybody tunes into that as that starts to help with our very own commentator, Evan Pasocco, leading the charge over there for them, along with Rachel Wyford. So That should be some awesome racing too as the Pro Series guys. It seems like just yesterday they were finishing up the season back in November, and here we are in February, and they're ready to get going again.
Yeah, speaking of peak antifreeze series drivers, Cody Bias, where did he go? Started fifth, started third, excuse me. Now he's running 12th all the way back there. So I wonder if he's just not hanging out or he just got shuffled back there. He might have taken 4 tires on that last pit stop too. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and he's going to work well with 36 of Justin Bolton right now and try to work his way back up. Cody Bias is definitely one of those guys you're not going to count out just yet. Still early in this race as they come across the start-finish line here. We're going to get the cross flags. We're going to be halfway through this 200-lap event. So the halfway point, we're going to take that time to do an iRacing.com mid-race report with a full field rundown right here as they run on lap number 101. Colin Bauer continues to be the race leader. Robbie Williams in the 48 runs second. Third place right now is the 68 of Lewis Sparks. Dylan Duvall runs fourth. Fifth goes to Chris Overland. Sixth goes to Tyler Laughlin. Seventh is Dave Swindell. Logan Cathcart is eighth. Ninth goes to Doyle Lawrence. And Bobby Stewart rounds out the top 10.
Running 11th, the 36th of Justin Bolton. Talked about him earlier. The 18 of Cody Bias now up to 12th. The 71, we talked to him earlier. The Damie Long running 13th. Chad Coleman at 20 running 14th. 89 of Matthew Quitt running 15th. 78 of Chris Templins running 16th. The 56 of Ryan Knapp 17th. 6 of Chuck Ernest running 18th. Brad Patterson, running 19th. And rounding up the top 20 to 32 of Joshua Geiner.
Brad Lawson in the 63 sits 21st. 22nd goes to Brian Castle. Trent Ringler runs 23rd. Mark Maffett runs 24th. Nicholas Doucette is 25th. 26th goes to Nigel DeJong. Michael Van Zedal will run 27th. 28th goes to Brandon Holder. Last car on the lead lap. First one to lap down is 29th is Jason Laney. Brad Neer is 30th.
And the rest of these guys are either multiple laps down or taking their car to the garage. The 31 of Matt Bickenfire, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, 31st 2 laps down. The 96 of Aaron Rodman 4 laps down. And the rest of these guys are basically out of the race. 33rd Brad Metzer, Dominic Christian 34th, Brad Rafferty 35th, Logan Clampett, unfortunate for him now, looks like he disconnected from the server. We'll finish this race in the 36th spot. Ronald Jones, 37th. Travis Smith, 38th. 29 of Brandon Smizer, 39th. And the last, looks like 3 positions, the 4 of Tor Nebo, the 46 of Chris Askins, and last car on the grid is the 77 of Joey Pashimi.
And all of those, that is your mid-race full field rundown, sponsored by iRacing.com. And for everything, for more information on the wide variety of racing possibilities on the web, visit iRacing.com and sign up today. And the reason you want to sign up is to be involved in things like this, what we have here today, the iRacerStuff.com 500. Halfway through this one, we've seen a lot of different things. Nothing crazy, no big accidents here so far, Paul. We haven't seen the quote-unquote big one yet, but we still have plenty of time. I'm sure that could possibly happen here today, but I've seen this is a very tame race. We've had a couple cautions, that's it. A couple minor ones, only involving about 2 to 3 cars each. But overall, I've seen some very patient driving by a lot of these guys. And as that $100 gets closer, when they get to the finish line at lap number 200, definitely things will start to take form and get a little more aggressive. And you'll see some guys take some more chances. But like we talked about, there's still a couple more pit stops that these guys will have to do, not just for fuel, but for tires. The tire wear has been the story here so far today. 40 laps around that area is really where the tires really just fall off to the point that the car is just about impossible to keep underneath you. So we'll keep an eye on that. And we restarted about lap 193, so about 40 laps. We'll keep our eye in about another 28 or so laps here. That's when we'll start seeing green flag pit stops happen again. But your leaders, your front runners right now, the 14, I'm very surprised with that. A no tire stop for Colin Bauer, and he's been able to hang on to this thing. And we talk about the 40-lap thing, and about another 15 or so, he's going to be at that point where his tires will be at that. We're going to have to keep an eye on him. He continues to lead currently right now. Nobody really pushing the issue to try to get around him at this point, but he's done a good job so far keeping up there in the front.
Oh, more than a good job. How about a Attaboy? I mean, you see he's got the green splitter there on the front. He's a B-class driver. He is beating pro drivers. That's unbelievable. So how about a Attaboy for him?
Yeah, and he started 40th in this race too, so keep that in mind also. He's had to come basically pass everybody on the racetrack to get up to where he's been. So for Colin Bauer, you said a B-class driver. It's not about if you're a pro or an A-class driver in the iRacing that you're in this race. He had to work his way in here. He had to make it through qualifying. He had to run well in the duels last Saturday to get this opportunity to be here today and race against these pro drivers. And what a way to put your name into the mixing pot of some top-ranked drivers than to do it right here at this race. So he's doing a great job at so far at what he's done, and been very consistent, passing a lot of cars, taking a chance on pit road, but so far that chance has worked.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough. I mean, that ought to give these, C and B class guys saying, hey, I can run with these pro guys. Why not? I mean, yeah, it's restrictor plate racing, it is a wild card, but still, you're beating pro guys in an open setup race. That is huge.
Absolutely. So he obviously, he either knows how to make a setup or he knows somebody that does. So he's doing a great job so far. Colin Bauer is the top side now, starting to shape up and pick up some players up on that high side. The 51, Tyler Laughlin leading that train. He's got Overland right on his rear bumper, and the 42 of Dylan Duvall. So you talk about pro drivers. Maybe they're listening to us and they hear that and they're like, wait a minute, a B-class driver up front, we need to get up to the top side and make something happen. As Tyler Laughlin tries to get down in front of the 68 of Lewis Sparks, there was just absolutely no room right there, but that could have been disastrous.
Wow, I might need a new set of pants there. I don't think he had even a slice of paper, between that and the paper. But, I was going to say, here he comes again. Laughlin now, the fourth. Mr. Where did he come from? And he just keeps peeking to that outside, seeing if anybody will go with him. He wants to go to the front.
Yeah, he's definitely got a couple guys that would do that with him. We just saw that momentarily, but they're all lined up now, single file on the bottom. As the 68 kind of peeks his nose out up there, gets a little bit of air. Tyler Laughlin again looking to the outside now, down the back straightaway into turn number 3. He will drop back down in line as everybody continues to run on the bottom as we go on board with the 51 cars. He makes some moves, and he's running right now in the 4th position. Of course, he won the pole during the qualifying here a couple weeks ago, so he knows how to get around this place, and at least if not on a qualifying lap, he definitely knows how to get around this place during a race. So Tyler Laughlin doing his best to stay up in the front. Had the mistake like we documented back on pit road on that green flag stop. Came in so hot, just couldn't get that thing wound down, and cold brakes, whatever the issue it was, just couldn't get that slowed down, and he was able to come back from that pit road speeding penalty, which kept him on pit road for quite a lot of time, and ultimately lost the draft because of it. But since then, a caution had came out, got himself back up into contention, and then he drove his way back up to the top 5 right now, and doing a great job at that as he continues to keep looking on the outside of Lewis Sparks. The problem is the 42 of Dylan Duvall just can't quite get to his bumper to help him out.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed, once again, we're about halfway through the run. Sawing at the wheel, I see he's doing. So I think he took 4 tires as well in that last stop, maybe. I'll have to go look back at that. But looks like he has his hands full right now, and why not go to the high side? Maybe he is going to the high side because the handling of the car is going away. So I noticed that he's starting to run that qualifying line like I was mentioning earlier. So we'll see what happens. Can he make his way up?
Yeah, and if his tires are starting to wear out, then I can't imagine the 14s, how his tires feel. And you know what? Not only for him to drive up from 40th, take the gamble on pit road, not taking tires under that caution, to give him the track position, to give him the lead, but you also got to give a hats off to saving tires, because he's obviously saved something as far as tire wear in order for him to keep as steady as he is up towards the front.
Yeah, I'm punching the calculator numbers now, and for fuel, they can go about to lap 140, 144. That means they have to at least go 2 more stops. It's now a 2-stop race. Now here's the interesting thing. We've been mentioning tires. Tires go around 40 in a run. So that puts it around lap 130, 135, which means we're about 20 laps away from them coming in for tires. Now here's the thing. You got to pit at least twice. So do you short pit? Do you not short pit? I'm curious what's going to happen here, what these guys are thinking in their minds right now.
Well, I really think that the smart move, and of course I'm not a driver, but if I'm thinking about this, I definitely want to have better tires towards the end, especially if you got a late race restart. You're definitely going to want the grip so you're going to be able to dive in and out and try different lines and try to get yourself up there to win the race. So if they're going to stretch any of these runs out, it'd probably be this one here, maybe the next one, but we'll see what these guys do. But, I'd rather have the fresher tires when it matters the most at the end, especially just in case we have one of those late race restarts with a couple laps to go or something.
Oh, no question, Andy. Tires now, this is so different than what it has been now with this dynamic track. Tires have become huge. It used to be, this was easy to call a race. You'd take 2, then 4 once or twice during the 500-mile race. Now, it's just so interesting. This is the first time we've done it with a dynamic track. Tires matter.
And it's great that iRacing was able to put that back in the service, because I remember those races where literally you didn't have to take tires for a whole race. I mean, you could literally just come in, get fuel, and go back out. You wouldn't even have to change tires, and the tire wear by the end of a race would still be in the the 90% wear mark. So it's great that they finally put that in there to make it more into the driver's hands and make them have to strategy to come back into the play. So I think that's a great thing, and I think this build over the last couple builds, I should say, have been pretty good as far as the play track racing, and it's good to see. That way it's just not, it makes it more interesting, it makes it more racy, it makes these guys have to really work at it rather than just hammer down for however many laps and not have to worry about anything like tires, and all you have to worry about is if your fuel cell is going to run dry.
Well, what's funny is I race against Ty Majeski a lot in super late models, and he said this dynamic track thing has made it almost virtually realistic now, at least on the short track end side of things. He doesn't race up here very much, but to me, he has the top I rating. He's a 2-time super late model champion. I think he's a pretty good source to vouch for, saying if this is real or not.
Yeah, why not ask a driver that does it for real to how close the sim really comes to that. Oh, I'm watching some action going on back around the 13th, 14th spot there, right around Cody Bias, and had some trouble. It looked like a couple guys were making a little bit of contact right there, and the 4 car was involved in that. Matt Quick had to make an evasive action in the 89 there and go to the high side, Paul, but that was some interesting stuff that just happened.
Well, Cody Bias just said the screen froze up on him. I mean, it happens, so is that something that's gonna play on later, but looks like these guys are gonna get single filed out back again, which is probably a good idea right now, because they're starting to lose that 10-car pack now, so they have to get single file. They don't want to lose them.
Yeah, they're about 2 seconds off the race lead right now, about a second behind that front pack, which doesn't sound like much, but when everybody's running at pretty much the same speed, about 208 to 210 miles an hour going into these corners, it's definitely a second is a lot, because you're probably only going to make up hundredths of a second per lap running at speeds like that. But he's hooked up pretty well right now with Chad Coleman. Chad Coleman, another name we see a lot here on LSRTV, running the RSR series, the Full Throttle Cup series, which actually gets set to get underway with their shootouts coming up this Monday night. So keep it tuned to LSRTV for that. A lot of stuff going on this season at LSRTV, but we'll talk about that later on. But a great race so far. Colin Bauer still continuing to lead this thing. He's been leading since the restart on lap number 93. Gave it up for about a lap or two to the 47 of Chris Overland, but since then has not looked back at all, running as your leader. We're going to take a time. Right now, we're past the halfway point, so we're going to go LSRTV nonstop as you're watching the iRacer.com Daytona 500 right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Wow, I'm doing.
I'd like to welcome you back here on LSRTV. You're watching the iRacerStuff.com Daytona 500 here on LSRTV and iRacing Live here on this Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern. We're still hammering away here about an hour and 45 into this race, and it's been a good race. 2 cautions so far here in this one. We work lap number 126. A couple pit stops still left to do for these guys as far as fuel and tires go. One of those actually approaching here in the next 10 or so laps. Some of the guys already coming down pit road and making their pit stop. You probably saw it on the side-by-side coverage there while we were at commercial. And Chris Overland dirt tracking it through the corner there, able to save it and able to maintain himself in the top 5. So a great job there. No surprise by any of us up here in the booth.
Yeah, no surprise. It looks like the 14 stayed out on fuel, did not get a caution. Looks like the tires are starting to go. It looks like the pros are going to leave him in the dust.
Yeah, you still got to tip your hat to him and what he's done since the restart on lap number 93, some almost 50 or 40 laps ago, and that was a really good job he's done, and he'll be able to drop back down in line right now behind the 68 of Lewis Sparks right now, so they'll avoid the lap traffic on the outside, the 8 and the 7, who were on the lead lap. Those guys are just now getting down a lap here from their pit stop. Those guys decided to pit a little bit earlier than these other guys, so at least they have two of them to be able to keep somewhat of a race speed going as after these leaders make their round of pit stops, which, like I said, should be coming in the next 5 to 10 laps. So we'll keep an eye on these leaders up front, but some really good racing here so far this afternoon, and I've been pretty impressed by the way these guys have and the patience that everybody has had so far, riding in a line, logging these laps, letting them go by. They know it's a long, grueling race, and at this point in the race, Paul, I mean, how tired are the arms? How tired are the eyes sitting here staring at a screen the whole time, you know, trying to stay focused, trying to do the right moves and try to keep yourself in contention?
Usually when I do a long race, my legs start hurting. But with these guys going, whoa, it looks like the 14 got in the wall there.
Yeah, the 14, obviously the tire's way gone now as he's going to fall far back right now, and we talk about what a good job he did staying up there front, but definitely the tires are starting to expire on that car right there. Just came off a turn two and just flat out couldn't hold that thing down, and he goes up, brushes the wall right there. So a little bit of damage for him. It doesn't look like too much that'll affect him. The problem he's going to have, he's going to lose touch with that top pack, and once they come down pit road, it's going to be tough for him to get drafting help.
Yeah, hopefully he can get a partner, you know. Speaking of partners, it's deal-making time. Who comes down? Now, they're all obviously going to take 4 tires. 2 tires is now out the window. I think these guys have learned that now. So now it's 4 tires, fuel, and, you know, tear off all that stuff. Maybe you want to make a little bit of adjustment, you know, spring perch, a little bit like that, tire pressure. So curious to see if those guys do that, because that's, oh, here they come right now.
Yep, 48-68 deciding to come down pit road. That's Robbie Williams and Lewis Sparks going to come down together. So they obviously been in communication. They're going to come down pit road together. Leaders should be coming down, I would say, in the next couple of laps or so. Right now, Tyler Laughlin back to the front of the pack, doing what an amazing job he's done after that pit road speeding penalty he had under a green flag stop. Was lucky enough to get a caution flag, got himself back into contention, was able to drive straight up through the field like a boss.
Yeah, that 68 car, they did this last time. They came in about 5 or 7 laps earlier. Looks like more guys are going to do that here because they are banking on tires. These guys have to make it on 2 more stops. You cannot make it on 1 stop from here. It's a 2-stop race, so these guys are going to go for tires. It looks like the 51, 42, and 47, they're going to do what they did last time, and it looks like they're going to go for a fuel run.
Yeah, and we got to remember the last time we had a green flag stop with these 3, that's when Tyler Laughlin had his issues. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if the 3 of these guys, Laughlin, Duvall, and Overland, can do it mistake-free this time and be able to come back out as a group again. The 1 car of Dave Swindell just came down pit road along with the 79 car of Logan Cathcart. So those guys all did. And now leaders on the pit road like we talked about. The 51 of Tyler Laughlin along with the 47 of Overland. Those guys going to make their way down pit road here. It looks like Cody Bias and Dylan Duvall are going to stay out on the racetrack. Those guys working good together all during the Pro Series. So it's not surprising to see them probably talking to each other and coming down pit road themselves. The 36 already made his pit stop, I believe. So he's just right now in the mix right now with these guys, just catching their draft right now as they run. But this time off turn number 4, looks like the 42, the 36, the 18, and the 28 kind of come down. And more guys behind them also. The 26 we saw have some issues earlier on, along with the 10, the 41, the 56. All of these guys now making their way down pit road. on lap 133. That's exactly 40 laps. So we'll keep an eye on that. 40 more laps will put him around that 170 mark. So we'll keep an eye on that as far as strategy goes the rest of the afternoon. 4 tires of fuel, that's the call for all these guys. They want the grip, they need the handling, they also need the fuel to get themselves to the end. And it looks like they're down and away. So the 18, Cody Bias, Dylan Duvall, they're all going to make it back out onto the speedway as they did when they came in. The 20 car also in the mix, Chad Coleman.
Interesting call here. They're going to go up on the banking since there's no cars around them. This is big. They can get up to speed faster now. So I'm curious to see where these 4 guys will come out.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Obviously, this is, it doesn't really, there's nobody up in the tower there. Typically, we'll see these guys enter the speedway on the backstretch. But, listen, at a plate track like this or any track really, I mean, as long as you got your relative up on your screen, you kind of know where everybody else is coming from behind you. And if you got the space and you can get back up to speed without coming up in front of anybody, then you'll see guys do that and come up onto the racetrack as soon as they possibly can. It's a lot easier to get up to speed when you're on the banking than it is on that flat stuff on the apron.
And look what happened. They're in the lead. They got up to speed quicker. These 4 cars are out in front of the big pack. Now, if these guys were smart, they would stay hooked up like this and try to pull away from them.
Yeah, the 36 of Bolton's actually a lap down, but working really good with the 42 of Duvall and the 18 of Cody Bias all day long. So those guys, obviously, he came down to pit road to help them out, to help them with some draft. Obviously, the more cars, the better when you're talking about the draft. So that's a pretty cool deal. As the leaders were the leaders of Tyler Laughlin. They're catching up to these guys rather quickly and at a little bit more of a quicker pace, too.
Yeah, but what a call by the 42 and the 18 to go right up the banking. Way to go there. Nice call.
Yeah, as we go on board right now with the 51, of Tyler Laughlin right now down the back straightaway into turn number 3. You're going to catch a lap car right there. He's going to go to the high side. They'll stay low in that front pack. About seven cars right now that are leading that train by the 51.
Yeah, now we're looking on the onboard. This is after fresh tires. Look, Laughlin's running smooth, nice, not, grab jabbering at that wheel. So this shows you what the difference between new tires and old tires does. Right smack dab on the bottom. Nice, easy peasy, like he's driving a Corvette. Well, in 40 laps, feels like he's going to be driving a semi the way these tires are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As a driver, I know you race a lot on the service, and as a driver, there's nothing better than having 4 tires underneath you when you're getting around a place, whether it's Daytona or Martinsville or any racetrack. Honestly, when you get those 4 tires, the confidence level of how the car drives comes right back to you pretty quickly.
Yeah, 4 Mr. Feelgoods will feel real good for you.
I love it. I think it's Darrell Waltrip that says that, right?
Of course.
Oh, Dylan Duvall, your leader right now. He's led a bunch of laps here tonight. I don't have that up on my screen at the moment. Him, Cody Bias, run 1-2. Chad Coleman sitting right there in that 3rd spot. Tyler Laughlin, who's led a bunch here, also is now working his way back up here. Trent Ball's led 54 laps, I'm being told right now. So that's a pretty good number when you're talking about 138 laps are about to complete right now. He's led a good majority of this race up front. And right now, he's not worried about getting in front of that 36. The 36 is a lap down, or technically I should say, he is a lap down. So he's definitely not in the position to, he's actually 4 laps down. So Duvall's not worried about, because he doesn't have damage on that 36. He's not worried about actually getting around that 36. And he's probably using them more to his advantage, because being behind a guy, you'll actually use less fuel than you will if you were actually the leader.
Oh, of course. And he can use that 36 car also, to stay in the lead as well, because, the way the draft works, that 36 is basically pulling everybody around right now. So trying to pass the leader would be very difficult.
That'll make it a lot more difficult for those guys. But that second pack, after the pit stops, it took them a couple laps. Now they're right back in the mix here. Tyler Laughlin right up to the number 20 of Chad Coleman as they run right now, and Overland's in that group. The one car, Dave Swindell, he's kind of been up and down. He started 20th in this race, currently running in that 6th spot, so a good track position call by him on pit road earlier on when they were under a caution flag, gave him some track position, put him up in contention with these guys. One guy we were talking about before that, Colin Bauer, he has fallen back. He's back in the 17th spot right now, but he has some help. He has a lot of drafting help with him. There's a 7-car group that he's with right now, and that's led by the 26 of Trent Ringler right now in that Exalta painted Chevrolet right there as they run into back into turn number 1. The 14 of Colin Bauer looking to the outside right now. Not sure if his car was overheating or what he was doing. He's going to pull back down in front of Matthew Quick right there. But these guys right here, they're really going to have to just stay where they're at. I mean, they're 7 seconds back of the lead. They have to just stay single file and hope that they can get some speed out of this thing, or maybe even hope for a caution that they can get themselves back up and have a contention to get in the top 10 or getting to win the race.
Oh, definitely. And it looks like that 51 car is going to try to go to the front again. That 47, those two guys have just been hooked up. Wow, what a move there. Just left that 47 out in the dust again. That 47, that's not going to make him happy. That's at least the 5th time he's done that to him. So I don't know if that friendship's going to stay a friendship very much longer.
We talked about that when he was working with Logan Clampett earlier in the day, and those two are working together, and then Clampett would just jump down into the lead and leave him out there and let him fall back. And we talked about that maybe not being a good thing when you need a friend at the end of the race to maybe give you a push to the win. And you said it then at the beginning that it's early for that. You know, a couple times now wouldn't be a bad thing. But when you're approaching the 50 to go mark here, as we are here working lap number 143, this is the time where maybe that memory sticks a little bit more, and you kind of remember that when it comes to the end.
Oh, yeah, and, I'm crunching my numbers right now. They pitted last on lap 130, 135, so fuel-wise, they can go to lap 180. Tire-wise, half the field has taken tires. Around lap 170, 175 is when you'll see them come in. That should be, at least for fuel, the last time they should come on pit road.
That will be the last time we will see these leaders on pit road. Although, if we have a late race caution, I'm sure you'll see them then taking advantage of getting the fresh tires, getting that grip so they know they have it for the end of the race. A pretty good race we've got going on so far, working lap number 144. We're going to take a second. We'll step back away for just a moment. You'll watch nonstop as we race the iRacerstuff.com Daytona 500 right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
and fire.
We're back here live at Daytona International Speedway, the iRacerStuff.com Daytona 500. First annual here as we run at Daytona, working lap number 150 this next time by. We're only going to have 50 to go, Paul. It's been 150 laps. Some good racing we've seen so far. Only a couple incidents, a couple cautions that have caused, they were small ones too, only about 2, 3, 4 cars maybe at the most involved in those, and it's been a clean race. We've seen some interesting things on green flag pit stops we've had. Tyler Laughlin, one to be mentioned, come in too hot, hit the commitment cone, speeding penalty, dropped him way back in the field. He was fortunate to get a caution that allowed him to drive his way back up currently right now in that 6th spot. He's been battling for the lead over the last 10 laps or so. These guys just got finished around lap 135 or so. On a green flag pit stop. So they're good to go, like you talked about, to about 170, 175. And we'll see these guys come down, make their final stop as long as we stay green. Tire wear has been one of the main things we've been talking about all day long. Typically a fuel run, 50 to 55 laps, but the tires have been wearing out around lap 40. And we definitely saw that on that last run with the 14 of Colin Bauer. He did a great call to get track position on his pit stop under caution. He didn't take any tires. He took fuel only, and he stayed out in the lead. He did a great job. We mentioned he was a B licensed driver on iRacing, which they have, for those of you that don't know, they have different levels, A, B, C, and as far as the driving level, and then, of course, the black stripe with the pros, and we got a bunch of those guys, and those guys have actually been in the front of the field all race long here, including Dylan Duvall, who leads us along with Cody Bias, Chad Coleman, and of course Tyler Laughlin, Chris Overland, just to name a few. But all these, he was up front, led a bunch of laps, and did some great things. But then when those tires fell off, they fell off, and he dropped right to the back. And now he's back there in the second pack. He's 10 seconds off of the lead currently from 14th on back to 20th. So he's got a lot of work to do. But I really think at this point, that group is not really making up anything on these leaders. They really need a caution to be able to get back up here and contend.
Definitely. It looks like we have some new cast of characters here up there. Swindell, the 79 of Cathcart. Some new guys, new faces up here, and they're going to try to upset the pros here.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple times, actually. That last run, we saw the 68 of Lewis Sparks, Robbie Williams up there in the mix. They're running 9th, 10th. They're not out of it by any means, but we've seen some comers, some goers, some movers, some guys up to the front and up to the back, and the majority of the guys that have been consistently up front has been the guys like Dylan Duvall, Cody Bias that we mentioned, Chad Coleman's been up there, and then, of course, Chris Overland and Tyler Laughlin, who Tyler has led a ton of laps here today, along with Dylan Duvall, who continues to just tick away the laps led here. We're 2 hours into this race here. It's going by pretty quick. It's going by pretty quickly in this one, and it's been fun to watch, and these guys are definitely putting on a show. And we're looking through the back of the top 10 right now in the 68 and the 48. Those guys have been working well together. Lewis Sparks, Robbie Williams, I just mentioned those two. Those guys are working the high side right now, trying to make a run, trying to get some more positions right now. They just worked their way around Doyle Lawrence in that 8 car to try to, or they're still trying to work their way around him now. But the two of those guys working good on the high side. Chris Overland going to duck out to the high side now behind Tyler Laughlin. They're going to try to work their way up towards the front of him. A big move right there by the 68 of Lewis Sparks. He goes right from the top all the way to the bottom, trying to make a move. He's got to run. Overland jumps right down in front of him right there. Not a lot of room, but a good move right there.
That might be a little bit of a payback right there for not going with them every time. So he's going to leave that 51 on the outside. Well, he gets down in there, so that puts that out the window.
Yeah, these guys making some moves. You can feel the energy. At least I can feel the energy starting to ramp up here as we're closing in on. Right now we got 45 laps left to go here, and I want to welcome in another guest, another staple to LSRTV. You'll hear him over the course of the weeks here too. Tyler Herr, and he's here. And Tyler, Daytona, what a great place. And I'm glad you're able to join us and kind of give us another driver type aspect of the plate tracks, along with Paul giving us some insight of how to get it done here. And we've seen a very good, clean race here. 2 cautions only here tonight. And these guys, we see a lot of black stripes up in the front. A lot of pro drivers here getting the job done. These guys tuning up on their setups, getting ready from in a couple weeks from now, getting the Peak Antifreeze Series underway, and their chance for a title on the Pro Series or the pro level here at iRacing. So these guys using it as that, but along with that, they get an opportunity to win $100 with the win today.
Yeah, and speaking of the black stripes, right now it looks like Tyler Laughlin and Chris Overland are going to make their push up to the front now. They are side by side with 3rd place right now. Tyler Laughlin slowly inching his way up. I was watching Tyler Laughlin running that lower and middle lane there throughout the corners, just trying to run what we would call the Q line, where you enter in a little bit higher, come down to the bottom, and then come off the corner higher. So Laughlin trying to conserve tires and trying to work with Overland, but Overland isn't ready to go with him just yet now.
Yeah, and speaking on the Q line, like one thing these guys will do is you'll just ever so slowly tap the brake maybe 1 or 2 times into these corners to stay on the bottom to conserve these tires. And like Andy was speaking about class system earlier, there's pro, then A, B, C, so on and so forth. Well, pro license for people who are not in iRacing, they only give out 50 of them. 50 pro licenses. So being a pro in a member service of 50,000 is a huge honor. And what some of these guys are doing racing up here with these guys is almost an upset. So it's cool to see the pros mixed with the AMs here.
Yeah, it's definitely something cool to see. And it just shows that with the right setup and, and the right talent, capabilities to run these plate tracks. And, it looks so easy as you're watching this. Oh, they're just driving around on the block. There's so much that goes into a plate track race as far as, which line's faster and paying attention to who's the guy that's going to help you get the push to get to the front. You're not going to pass these guys on your own. You need help. You need help in a big way when it comes to a restrictor plate race. So, there's so much that goes into it. The pit stops, getting on pit road on their green flag stop, and we saw that with Tyler Laughlin, a black stripe, a pro driver having issues getting on pit road. It can happen to anybody. So it's not just easy to run these things and run these things wide open around a racetrack. It takes a lot more than just that, and these guys definitely knowing how to get it done. And to see the guys like we saw, the 14 of Colin Bauer, get it done with a B license, running with these guys up at the front. And you talk about over 200 people or so. There was hundreds of people that signed up or registered to get into this race, and they had to get through it through qualifying. They had to survive through duels. So these guys, obviously, everyone who's made it into this race, the 42 had started this race. They definitely know what they're doing when it comes to these restrictor play races, and they're definitely getting it done here today as we now approach that 40 to go mark. So the laps are starting to wind down, guys, and obviously one more pit stop left to go at a minimum here. They have to make at least one more stop here as they come up on some more lap traffic here, as they're all going to start now heading down pit road. So a lot of these guys towards the back of the field that were just about to get lapped, they're going to come down to get pit road. Those were all the waiver rounds that were waiver rounds on that last caution. So obviously staying out, their fuel and their tires were going to wear out quicker. That's why they're coming down pit road for their pit stop at this point.
And during all that maneuvering around the lap down cars, here comes Tyler Laughlin now, getting a big push from Overland. He's going to go to the lead going into turn number 3, side by side with the 42 of Dylan Duval. Very close entering turn 3. It's now side by side for the lead with Duval and Laughlin. And for third place, Overland and Bias. Caution out, 88.68 going around. 48.88, sorry.
Yeah, the 48 of Robbie Williams getting it. Oh, yeah, I love that. That changes there. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. The 88 actually a lap down machine. He was getting lapped by the field, and then he made some contact with the 48. Caution out under the speedway. This is going to change a whole bunch of. I was going to say, Paul, this is going to change a lot of things as far as pitch strategy. As replay goes up on your screen here, and this is going to play a lot into a whole bunch of things because they're actually about 10 laps shy of when they were going to come down anyway to make their pit stop. So as far as this goes, and now you're pushing, we're under 40 laps to go. So this is going to mean those tires, they can make it to the end, but this is going to mean that the tire wear is going to be bad towards the end of this race. It's going to be at the point of where it's going to fall off.
Oh, definitely. They can make it on fuel now. They can make it 50 to 55 laps, as we said. It's lap 163, so they're in their fuel window. Here's the interesting part. What if it goes green the rest of the way? They'll probably go to green with about 30 laps to go, so the tires are going to really wear here. So now it's about saving your tires. So they're definitely going to pit here. Everybody has to pit.
Yep, pit road's open. Leaders heading down that way. The 42, Dylan Duvall leading everybody down pit road. Tyler Laughlin a little bit to the inside. He's got to be careful there, though, because he's got the first pit stall because he won the pole here. And this definitely is one of those things as we call the money stomp, unless we have another one. Oh, the 51 slides through his box, so another mistake on pit road. The only good thing for him, this isn't under green. It's under caution. He will lose some spots when everybody starts coming off pit road. But Tyler Laughlin, another mistake on pit road.
Look at the 47 there. Snookered all those guys. Went right through the pit stalls instead of right out. So you can do that on iRacing. The cars are basically ghost cars in the pit stalls there. So he just went boom right straight forward. So very interesting strategy there.
Yeah, and that's one of those things you'll see on the Peak Antifreeze series. All the pro drivers do that for the most part because you lose time if you try to pull out of the pit stall and not hit the car in front of you. You're not going to hit it anyway. So like these guys do, as soon as that jack drops, boom, they're just straight out of it, straight through everybody's pit stall. And that gave the advantage to Chris Overland. That'll give him the race lead here on lap number 164. We'll take a short, quick break while we're under caution, and we'll come back to the iRacerStuff.com Daytona 500 right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway for the iRacerStuff.com 500 right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. And I'm Andy Kessler. And in the booth, of course, Paul Fugate's been here and Tyler Hurst joined us just moments ago. And we're getting ready to get this underway. Our third caution just happened. So our third restart of the afternoon as the pace car looks to the safety of pit road. The 6 car, Chuck Ernest, a little bit of strategy on his part. Pitted a couple laps early, maintained the race lead because he stayed out and didn't go a lap down. Oh, we got trouble. What a restart right there. The 42 of Dylan Duvall tried to go to the bottom awfully quickly, got into the 51 of Tyler Laughlin. Wasn't quite enough room there, but he made an evasive move to get to the bottom, and everybody going to stay going in the right direction right now. So Chuck Ernest started 25th. He leads them off of turn number 2.
Yeah, Chuck Ernest, he kind of snookered the field there because they were through a round of pit stops and through the scoring and everything the way it was. He got the lead, so he has fresh tires, fresh fuel. Let's see if he can beat the pros and be the upset today.
Well, he has the opportunity right now. The problem is he's got a hungry batch of pro drivers right behind him, and it looks like it's going to be short-lived right now as the 18 of Cody Bias moves up to the high side right in front of Chris Overland, gets the push, gets the race lead as they head back towards turn number 1. One thing, Cody Bias, he was staying with him, but now he's going to drop down in front of the 6 car. That leaves Overland out to the high side again. And Paul, we talked about this a bunch today. That's happened a lot to him. So I'm sure that's another moment in his mind he's keeping for later in the race. Logan, wow, Duvall almost making contact with the 6, going to the inside, almost below the yellow line there. Forces the 6 to the outside, and now he's going to fall back into the clutches of the 1 car, David Swindell. Nope, now it's going to be the 26. Swindell moves to the bottom side, and look at that 6 just drop, all the way to the back he goes.
Yeah, they're leaving that 6 car in the dust, and third restart in a row. The leader leading the restart has not led them back to the line. Like I said, it seems like off of turn 4, off a restart, that first lap, you just hit a brick wall coming off of 4, and the 18 took advantage, and he just smoked by that 6.
They worked their way around the lap car up on the top side. That's the 75 machine of Jason Laney, who's 1 lap down currently, make it 2 when they come down to the start-finish line. And we're watching this front group of cars right now, pretty much getting all tangled up here. The 71's back in the mix now as he finds himself up there. We talked to him during the race. Damie Long talked about how the tires would just fall off around lap 40. But it looks like all these guys are starting to mix it up a little bit back here around 10th spot on back. The 6 car still leading that outside lane right now. He's got a little bit of help. He's got the 26 of Trent Ringler helping him out there on the top side.
Yeah, Trent Ringler, he was your winner of the second dual race last Saturday, and here he is pushing the 6 all the way up towards the front now. That outside line really got ahead of steam, and here comes Overland and Laughlin pulling out on the high side by side here with Cody Bias for the lead going into turn number 1 now.
Yeah, now you start seeing it ramp up, Paul, as we hit 30 to go now. So now it's go time for all these drivers trying to mix and match and figure out who's going to help them, how they're going to get to the front. We're seeing some double wide action. This is probably the most we've seen on a restart all day long, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it. Wow, as Tyler Laughlin just drops right in front of the 20 of Chad Coleman. That was close right there, but again, Overland to the high side by himself. Laughlin's going to leave him some room down in front of him, and they'll get single filed out again here. There's 30 laps to go. It is go time, but it's go time for those guys about mid-pack on back now. These guys running right now in that 11, 12.
Trouble, 68 in the wall.
68 car into the wall. Wow, caution out, 4 cars involved. 68 of Lewis Sparks here as the field will get slowed down here, and now all these guys, looks like the 14 was right around that area too. We talked about the 14 of Colin Bauer earlier leading this thing, and just amazing that these guys able to get through all of this here. But Lewis Sparks involved in that one. It's been one of those guys, Paul, that's been running up in the front of the field all day long, and now finally he just caught up in a mess. It looks like he got loose through the tri-oval there. Tried to correct it. Came down into the 7 car of Bobby Stewart, and that was all she wrote right there. A couple other collateral damage there, but the 68 now smoking. A top 10, top 5 car, definitely a contender here today. Down and out.
Yeah, he must have had something happen there on that last pit stop to put him back there. But yeah, that's a tough break. I mean, he started 8th today, and he's not gonna get that finish.
Not going to get the finish he wants now. Now the question, and I'll pull this to Tyler here as a driver, and Paul, you can comment on this also, being a driver here. But you just were down pit road about 10, 12 laps ago. You got, we're approaching about 25. You got 27 laps, 28 laps left to go in this thing. Do you take advantage of this opportunity to pit now, even though you can go to the end? Do you take this advantage to get the fresher tires? Or do you just stay out and choose the track position?
Now, 4 out of the top 5 are pro drivers, so they're going to know a lot more than I do in terms of strategy. But if I were if I were anyone in the top 5 there, I would stay out on the racetrack. Cody Bias ran his fastest lap of the race not too long ago, and they're not coming down. It's staying out. It looks like the 20 is your first taker and maybe your only taker on the pit road. Looks like Chad Coleman, Nicholas Duchet, the number 7 of Bobby Stewart also taking the time down onto pit road now. Not a lot of takers, which is what I was thinking was going to happen. They only ran about 3 laps out there, so in this stage of the race, track position matters. Even though it's a super speedway, trying to fight your way up through this field is a tall order, and there's always the danger now that it's under 30 to go. When they green flag about 25 to go, the big one is still looming, as everyone's going to be closer and closer now as the laps tick down.
Now, for me, it would have been, I want 4 Mr. Feelgoods. But the first thing in that, bullet order is, what did the leaders do? Well, the top 10 stayed out. If I'm running that 10th to 15th, I would have stayed out anyway. So, yeah, staying out was probably the good call there.
Well, you never know. We've seen some weirder things happen on the sim, and it looked like those guys about the mid-pack or so. That's where they started to come down. Chad Coleman, the only one in the top 10 that decided to come down. So interesting on that aspect. What was his train of thought, why to come down pit road. So a decision right there. But, like you said, it is a super speedway. He's not out of it yet. We saw Tyler Laughlin really come through the field rather quickly after his mistake on pit road. So it's not out of the question that he's going to make his way up to the front. The problem's going to be as we close these laps down. We're coming to the line now, 26 to go. It's going to be one of those things where these guys are going to have to, at this point, you're going to be racing 2 lanes now all the time. I mean, there's going to be action all over the place. So trying to come through the field now at this point, it's going to be one of those things of you're going to have to push the issue to maybe go 3 wide. And we know 3 wide can't happen at Daytona. The problem is it is a little bit narrower than Talladega. So we'll do that. But Tyler, I think we're going to try to see if we can get some communication with one of the drivers right now. And we're going to pull up the 89 of Matt Quick. And Matt, you're one of those few guys that we see that are in this race here today that run the iSuper Speedway Series every Friday night right here on LSRTV. And so super speedways are definitely a thing, I would say, in your forte. But you're currently sitting in that 9th spot right now, and you've pretty much been riding all race long around that top 15 area. What's it going to take now at this point of the race to get yourself to the front?
Pick the right line. You got to pick the right line. Right before that last caution there, I started the inside line. I saw the inside line start checking up a little bit. I saw they dumped the 6 up front there, so I jumped up behind him, and I made up about 8 spots pretty quick. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully my tire's going to hold up. That's been a huge problem. About 35 laps into run, man. I'm holding on for dear life. It's not like the iSuper Speedway setups. Of course, we don't go that long because they have a short fuel window, so I'm not used to going a full tank. 2, I'm not used to adjusting on my car, so I'm trying to throw some adjustment, trying to loosen this thing up a little bit. But we got to avoid the trouble. So 25 laps to go, anything can happen.
Well, you're absolutely right about that, and obviously you got a lot of work to do for yourself. Hopefully by the end of this thing, we maybe can talk to you in victory lane, but we got a lot of work to do, and we'll let you get back at it as you get ready to get going here.
Thanks, man. Hey, just real quick, iRacerStuff.com, thank you for hosting this race, and they host a series on Monday nights in the hosted section, just like iSuperspeedway, except it's 25 laps, no cautions in the hosted section. So iRacerStuff.com, thank you for the host, and join PaintTheYellow.com, which is what iRacerStuff hosts on the hosted section on iRacing on Monday nights about 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central.
There you have it, a shameless plug by Matt Quick, and we appreciate him for joining with us. And he's absolutely right. Big shout out to iRacerStuff.com for putting this on and putting, listen, $100 for the winner here today. So it's checkers or wreckers for all these guys. It's $100 on the line for the winner, and then of course a random draw for everybody that made the race here today for an opportunity to win a button box. So obviously there is something for somebody out there, even if you do come in last place here today. So the field getting stacked up, guys. This is pretty much it in the racing we've seen. Are we done with the cautions? This is only caution number 4 of the day here on lap 176 as we get set to go, and we'll have about 27 laps to go when we take the green flag. And is this the last caution we're going to see today, or do you think this could pretty much be the start of something big?
No, we're going to see cautions.
Well, we definitely see things ramped up now at this point because it's getting down to the crunch time here. It's definitely go time for all these guys. I think we're going to see a lot of couple two-wide racing here as we go on. Pace car, though, looking to duck to the safety again once more here at Daytona. Green flag is back in the air. Cody Bias, he's on the gas. He's on the move, the bottom side, with the advantage slightly as they head down back into turn number 1. The outside line, Cody Bias looks like he's going to go up to the outside, try to help Dylan Duvall, and now he's going to drop back to the bottom. And a huge shout out to the 79 Logan Cathart sitting in 3rd right now. He started 37th today, guys. He's definitely had a fun day.
Yeah,
79 just put his bumper to the rear end of the 18 in turn number 2, moved him up the track, and here they go, side by side going down to turn 3. Logan Cathart with the move right there to try and get around Cody Bias. And here comes the 47 and 51 of Overland and Laughlin. The 79, he's getting the push. 79 is going to lead this lap. Cody Bias, who had the lead, will not lead it.
Yeah, can Cathcart be the upset? I mean, we got a whole bunch of pro drivers. I'm counting 5 of them right now in the top 10. Can somebody upset these guys? And it looks like he might be the guy to do it. But he's got 3 pro drivers right behind him. And look at that 26 car. He's the one that caused the first caution was spinning out. Now he's up to 5th.
Wow, look at that right there. Lots of crazy stuff going right there. And another one of those drivers that could upset the field here, Trent Ringler in the 26, kind of protecting that bottom line. Yeah, business definitely picking up right now. He was trying to protect that yellow line and gave a little bit of a snippet of some room. Dylan Duvall went for it, wasn't able to make the move there. And some interesting words over the radio came up after that one there. Is lots of action starting to heat up now as we get closer to the end of this thing. 21 laps to go as they come to the line. Overland, your leader, he's getting the help from the 51 of Tyler Laughlin.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm going to say, the 18 and 42, anyone with a black stripe out there, they will not forget what kind of moves were made during this race. The 18's going to remember what the 79 did to him on the restart. The 42's going to remember what the 26 did on the backstretch. And, if you make enemies this late in the race, don't expect any help from them in the closing laps because they're just going to leave you out to dry.
Yeah, you remember the word I said earlier, coopetition. Well, scratch that off. That word is gone now. It is every man for himself. So, I mean, we just passed the 20 to go mark, so that's out the question. Out the window now. Now, what I'm curious about it here is the 47 and the 51. Usually the 51 has been leading that 47. Now the 47's out front. So, and that 51 has not been very loyal to that 47 today. So I'm curious to see what will happen here with now 19 laps to go.
Yeah, it'll really be interesting to see what will happen. Obviously, all these pro drivers up to the front, mixed in with the 79 of Logan Cathcart right now, and you might see these pro drivers gang up on these other guys here towards the end, but it'll be interesting to see how these guys shape up. Dylan Duvall having issues with Trent Ringler a couple laps ago. Now the two of them are nose to tail trying to work together to stay with these top three guys there. You got Matt Quick, who we just talked about just a minute ago, sitting there in that 7 spot. So they're all trying to get it done right now, and a pretty good run. We just saw him at a 42. Actually had to let up a little bit. That checked up that bottom side from everyone on back right there for just a moment. But right now, the top 15 or so, single file. Oh, the first one to go out of line, Duvall. That's going to open the door. Here comes the 89 now. Matt Quick to the bottom. Duvall
Caution
up
is out.
the racetrack.
Caution's out.
Caution's out for trouble behind.
The 5 of Brandon Holder, Robbie Williams, and Bobby Stewart again. Looks like they're all involved. Going back into it, going into turn 1, it just looks like the 48 just got turned by the 75 there, and just a chain reaction crash. The 5, the 4, the 48, and the 7 there, all involved. Tough breaks for those guys, running towards the back in a smaller pack there.
Yeah, it looked like actually the 48 maybe got loose going into the corner, pushed up the racetrack just a little bit, and as he came back down, contact was made, little bumper shot, nothing intentional at all right there, just one of them racing deals. Caught the car as he's coming back down, made a little contact, sent him sideways, back up the racetrack, collected a couple of more guys. So there's another caution number 5 on the day here today. Laps are definitely starting to close in. We'll have 17 to go this time by when they get to the stripe. So obviously pit road will be open. We saw it about 10, 15 laps ago that the guys didn't come down. I definitely think you won't see any more guys, except maybe guys to repair some damage there towards the back, especially the ones involved in that, to be on pit road. So things shaking up a little bit here. Duvall had a close call there moments ago right before that caution where he got, I'm not sure if he got loose or tight, but got pushed up out of the racing groove there off the bottom line, opened up the door. Matt Quick was able to get around him. That moved Quick back up to the 6th spot. He started 24th here on the afternoon. So the highest he's been all race long. He's been around that 15th spot. So that's another one of those sleeper guys you got to keep an eye on. And like I said, and we talked to him a moment ago, he's one of those guys that races super speedways week in and week out in the series on Friday nights right here on LSRTV. And that's exactly, this is his cup of tea. This is what he does on a weekly basis. So not surprised to see him up there right now when it matters the most.
I'm not surprised at all. Those Super Speedway guys, I mean, I watch their races on Friday nights. Unfortunately, I can't run them, but man, they are fun to watch. And, you know, this is right up their alley. Like he said earlier, they usually don't use open setups, but still, I mean, he knows how to draft all the time. So, and the thing with Super Speedway is they race all the tracks, all different weather, you know. So he's probably seen this once or twice before. Cloudy, overcast, cool, grippy Daytona Speedway.
Absolutely, and you can catch them, like we said, every Friday night right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live, and they run a truck series, Rod Car Truck Tour, that runs at 8 o'clock on Friday nights, and then right after that, they run the Super Speedway series, and they change it up. They have their endurance races, which they had their 500 last weekend, or last Friday night, and then, of course, this Friday they ran at Talladega, so they switch it up every week, and this week was also, besides the iRacing service going down for a while, they run. Last night was scheduled for a couple mains, so they run a B main, and then those guys get to transfer into the A main, which is consists of the top 10 finishers from the week before. So it's definitely something fun to watch on Friday nights right here on LSR TV, and we'll see if one of their guys, Matt Quick, there can get up to the front and battle these pro guys for a win here before this thing's all said and done. And it looks like we're going to have probably about 15, maybe 14 laps of Green Flag Racing when we get set to get this thing back underway. It looks like the lights are going to stay on at least for one more lap here as they work their way around this racetrack on lap 185. And we talk about these long endurance races, Paul, and it gets to the end of a 200 lap race like this, and we talked about it all day long about the concentration level and the focus and the how comfortable you have to be. I mean, it's a long time for these guys right now, 2.5 hours sitting in that seat, staring at that screen, driving this race car. Fatigue, did that come into play at this point of the race?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I ran a 500 lap race a 300 lap race at Five Flags, and my legs, my arms, my butt hurt even. I mean, so I can't imagine what these guys are feeling doing 500 miles. So one other thing, I mean, you're tired now. I mean, your eyes are probably starting to water a little bit. Arms hurt, like I said, legs tired. Your patience is not very high now. So if you thought you saw aggressiveness on the last restart, we're going to times that now by 10 on this one.
That's always fun to see. And we like aggressive driving, right, Tyler? I mean, especially at a super speedway, when you see guys force the issue, maybe go 3 wide or something like that to try to get the race lead. It tends to make things a little bit interesting. And also, it definitely doesn't put out the possibility that we have a big wreck. And maybe some of these guys that have been running up in the top 10 all day long might end up with some issues here towards the end, just because of that fact. The fact of fatigue, the fact that we're running out of laps here, 15 to go right here. It looks like the lights will go off the pace car, and we'll get double filed up. But when you get to this point of the race, and one place pays out the winner. It's a winner-take-all type scenario. So there's no points involved. There's nothing. Nobody's settling for, I'll finish 5th. It'll be a good day. Everybody's still on the lead lap, still wants to win this thing.
Yeah, the only payout here today is a $100 payout for the winner, as you've said before, but also it's all about ego as well. As anyone knows, if you're in that race car, you want to win no matter what. And for everyone else in this field that doesn't have a black stripe, they're looking up front there thinking, man, if I can beat Chris Overland, Tyler Laughlin, Cody Bias, Dylan Duvall, if I can finish ahead of them, I'm going to feel like Superman out there. And, well, that's just a big ego boost just to run up front there and see if you can unthrone the best of the best out here.
Oh, most definitely. That's something we're going to have to keep an eye on that, Paul, is guys up in the front, the 26, Trent Ringler, Matthew Quick, we just talked about, Logan Cathart. We talked about maybe a sleeper, a guy you're not familiar with, a guy without a black stripe coming up with a win. There's a few of them up there in the top 10 with an opportunity.
I know how that feels. I beat Peter Sturgis in the Sarah Fall Brawl in just the super late models, but late models, and that felt awesome. So if these blue stripe guys can beat the black stripes, it is a huge confidence booster. It looks like we're going to get the green flag right now.
That we will. Pace car dives to pit lane. They waste no time getting back up to speed. Chris Overland on the throttle, trying to make things happen. A little bit of a slow start on the high side. I'm not sure if the 89 of Quick was ready for that restart there, so he finds himself falling back just a little bit off of Cody Bias's bumper on the high side. He's all by himself, stuck there for the time being. But up front, it's 2x2 for the race lead. Tyler Laughlin on the outside with Cody Bias, and then you got Overland in the 79 of Cathcart on the inside.
Tyler Laughlin and Chris Overland have been working together all day long. Now they're pitted against each other. And there goes Chris Overland to the front there, the 51 stuck on the high side, but he has help from Cody Bias right behind him. He's going to try that side draft on the 26. Here comes the 42 up through the field again. And going back to that restart, I noticed that Cody Bias, he got a really good launch there and tapped the 51 going to the line, just trying to get that boost of speed. But now everyone drops down to the bottom. It's single file here. And this is where the racing is going to pick up. Here comes the 42 looking to the high side with the 51 and 18. They're going to just freight train that 26.
Yeah, you got 3 pro drivers coming up on the high side. I thought it might go single file there, then be a game of chicken, but now it doesn't look like. Now 4 pro drivers on the high side. That's 79 now all on the inside. Oh,
3 wide, there
oh,
goes
that
Duvall.
did not work.
Duvall, bias, the 41. More cars involved.
And that was something that was brewing to happen right there, guys. And the 51 of Tyler Laughlin, he had a run and he had a gap in the middle there because Overland off of turn number 4 went up to the high side. He wanted to catch up with that pro freight train that was coming, and that checked up that high side, and that left the 51 with a huge run. He decided to drop to the middle, and we saw 3 wide right there, and the 3 wide that didn't work, and a big crash up at the front of the field, and takes out a bunch of guys throughout the field right there. So a tough break for a bunch of those guys towards the back, and something Duvall obviously didn't want to see happen, especially this late in the race. One of those guys led the most laps here so far today, and he's going to obviously have a lot of problems. He's going to take that car. It looks like he has already took the tow and already pulled it behind the wall. So the 42, just like that, you have a great day, you run up front, you lead the most laps, and just like that, with the blink of an eye, your day is done.
Yeah, that's just heartbreak for all the guys. They were running up front for so long. The entire race, Cody Bias, he just retired his car from the event. And that was just a real risky move from Tyler Laughlin. Paid off for him, but Dylan Duvall and Cody Bias, the other 2 that were taken out. There was also another car affected, did not get the number, but their race is done. They blew the engine as they tried to get through that.
Yeah, that was a situation, Tyler, of all take and no give there. I know these guys are pros, but boy, that was really threading the needle there going 3 wide. I know it's, 12 laps to go, but maybe a little questionable there.
It is crunch time, basically, and threading the needle like that. We haven't seen that all day long, but at this point of the race, I mean, you got one payout for the race winner. You got to take some chances, and we knew it was going to happen eventually, and it's just unfortunate it happened in the front of the field right there. But with that takes out 2 of the pro drivers. Cody Bias, he's gone, pulled to behind the wall, and of course Dylan Duvall, who had heavy damage in that, he is pulled to behind the wall and called it a day also. So that takes 2 more out of it as far as the pro drivers are concerned, and that makes it that much easier, I think, for the opportunity for some of these sleeper guys, we've been calling them all day long, to maybe have an opportunity to steal one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And look who's 4th there, that 26. Unbelievable. He actually spun on the apron, spun out and lost the draft. Now he's up to 4th, so what a recovery for that car. And, I'll say this. It's checkers or wreckers time now. I mean, we're probably going to get the green flag with about 6 laps to go. So, basically, like Richard Childress would say, either bring me the checkered flag or bring me the steering wheel back time.
Yeah, and also with that, though, which brings into the question or the possibility, Tyler, that once we get the green flag, a couple laps are run, it's going to put us to that point where a caution would end the race. So, you want to force the issue, and I think guys that are up towards the front right now, the 47, the 51, I mean, if you're sitting in that point, I mean, are you hoping for a caution, or are you hoping for this thing to run out?
The only one that's hoping for a caution with under 5 to go will be the leader, and you're going to see 2 different races here now. A race to 5 to go, and then a race to the checker. If you're going to see a bunch of guys trying to get up to the front as fast as they can, but then if they keep going green until the white flag, then if there's a big wreck, they race it back to the checkered flag, since there's no green white checkers here in iRacing.
Yeah, that's one thing I think we're all hoping for someday, is to get the option to have that in a hosted session, the green-white checkers. We are getting a very different look at the Pitman, though. coming up soon, which is pretty cool, I guess. But we'll see. We'll see what happens over the course of this year. But everybody's screaming for it. Everybody's clamoring for it. I just don't understand why that part of it hasn't put in the green white checkers. But we'll see what happens over the course of the time. But for now, this is what we got. This is what we work with. But we'll see what happens as far as the end of this race. Also, 9 laps to go right now. They're going to come across the line, get 8 to go. Hopefully the lights come off the pace car and we can get the most we can out of the green flag racing. We've had tons of green flag racing all day long here. We've just gotten to the point now at this point where everybody is battling so hard for every single position, every inch of the racetrack out there. And for guys out there in a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th spot that aren't pro drivers, that are looking to steal this one, to come out $100 richer at the end of this thing, and to make it that the last couple of weeks, all the effort and the qualifying, the 150 lap duels, and then now the patience that they've had all race long now up to this point, it all comes down to this, and it all comes down to them getting up to the front and getting the win. Couple guys to note up front that we talked about, maybe some sleepers to get the win. The 79 of Logan Cathcart started this race in 37th. You look at the top 10, Paul, there's a lot of guys that started outside the top 10, top 15, make that the top 20 or 30 that are up there now with an opportunity to win this thing.
I mean, there's only 4 guys who start in the top 10 that are in the top 10 now. I mean, this proves that, like Alan Bestwick said, plate racing is the great equalizer, and you're seeing it right now.
Great equalizer it is. Well, Tyler, we're getting to the end here. This could be the final restart. It probably will be the final restart unless we have a caution immediately after they throw the green flag. We got a couple laps at least as a cushion as far as that's concerned. The wrecking over, you think these guys will be able to settle it out?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that they're going to race this out. I know my words have come back to bite me before, but I'm just going to say that they're going to race this one out. And I want to say that we're going to see one of these upset wins here. The problem is everyone's just going to have to work together to try and get around both Chris Overland and Tyler Laughlin up front. And if you see a big group of cars that can do that, then we might see the upset winner. But the 47 and 51 have been so strong all day long that that's going to be a tall order for the field.
It absolutely is. Pace car going to duck to pit road again. Green flag back out on the raceway. A checkup on the bottom. Chris Overland, I'm not sure he did anything wrong, but the whole back or the whole bottom lane there ended up having to check up from the 83 on back right now. That's going to open it up now. Overland to the high side now. Going to try to help out. His fellow pro driver. Not going to work right now. Tyler Laughlin going to jump back down in that 3rd spot. Top 5 now. Top 6, I should say. Single file off of turn number 2. Laughlin going to peek his nose out. Has nobody helping him. Doesn't have a run. He'll drop back down in behind the 79 of Logan Cathcart, who sits 2nd right now. One of those guys that could be the sleeper to win this thing. The 2nd pack, though, starting to catch up. The 83 starting to get his way back into the picture now as they exit turn number 4. This time by 6 laps to go.
Logan Cathcart tried to take a peek underneath Chris Overland there coming out of 4. We have 6 laps to go right now. Everyone is single file, but who is going to make the first move of this race here? The 47, 79, 51, 20, the 26, the 41, your top 5 right now. Talked to Matthew Quick a little bit earlier here. He's running in 6th place, trying to see if anyone's going to try and work the high side, but no takers so far.
Yeah, this is a game of chicken now at over 200 miles an hour. Who wants to go out? Who wants to take a chance? So that 51, though, he has been not shy from going to the top. So I say Tyler Laughlin will be the guy to lead a charge up high.
He might be the guy to lead the charge, but is there going to be anyone that follows him? And if I was any of those guys behind him, I see a black stripe heading to the top side. I think I would follow them, but we'll see what happens as this starts to go through. 5 laps to go, about 4.5 now as they rumble down the back straightaway here. Tyler Laughlin again looking to the outside, still not bold enough to make the move right now. And we got our first takers now to do that. The 83 of Michael Vanzadal. He's going to get some help from the 15 of Nicholas Duche, and of course the 20 of Chad Coleman, who we saw up to the front. They're going to be the first 3 now to stick their nose out to the high side. They're going to work their way around the 89 of Matt Quick as they hit the line. 4 to go.
83 trying to make that high side work, but it looks like he hit that brick wall of air right now. The top 5, 83, contact between him and the 89. They save it 3 wide. It's going to settle itself out, but now it is just a 5-car race up front. The 51 on the outside all by himself. Here comes Nigel right beneath Tyler Laughlin. That could have been big, and that could have ended the race.
Yeah, that was quite a save by those guys back there. One thing I want to point out while we're calling the action is you cannot make your move off of turn 4. You have to make your move on the backstretch here. So look for guys to make that move on the backstretch on the last lap.
Look at the 89 right now on your screen with a big run up to the back bumper of the 51 of Tyler Laughlin. Matt Quick, one of those guys in the Ice Super Speedway Series, knows how to get it done on these plate tracks. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one that pushes the 51 up towards the front as they work their way down the back straightaway. 3 laps to go, make it 2.5 as they head back into turn number 3. High side starting to take shape. Here goes the 41. The 51, no, they're going to drop back below. That was close. I think they might have made a little contact. They did. Some smoke coming off of one of those cars now as they come off turn number 4 to the line. 2 to go. The 26 jumps out. Here goes Overland to the top.
Overland throws the block on the 26. It looks like the outside line now with the head of steam. Tyler Laughlin pushing the back half of that pack. He's going to drop down below. He's going to work with Logan Cathcart. There goes Chris Overland trying to work the middle, trying to break the draft. There's contact between the 51 and 41. They save it again. This is going to be one hell of a finish.
Yeah, quite the save there by that 51 as we will head to the white flag. I think that 79 has to make his move on the backstretch.
Yeah, they're going to try to make the pass right now. Overland still continuing to lead this thing at the line right now. White flag back in the air for the final time. They go down into turn number 1. A lot of mixing and matching going on in the back top of that top 5 right now. The 51 of Laughlin, he's pretty much out to dry right now. He's going to drop down to the bottom. His chance to win probably won't happen. Here comes the 26 with a huge run. He goes to the outside. He's got some help. He goes way 3 wide now. Contact on the bottom. They're still 3 wide as they go into turn number 3 for the final time. The 47 Overland to the inside. Contact made up on the top side. 41 now. That's Nigel DeJong. Makes contact. They're all making contact. Here to come to the final, to the stripe now. The 79 of Cathcart can't do it. It looks like, who is it?
Tyler Laughlin.
Tyler Laughlin comes from nowhere. Where did he come from? 6th on the white flag lap, and he comes home to win it.
What a finish.
Unbelievable finish to
And
500
that
miles.
79
It comes
is
down to
not
the
very
final.
happy.
It comes down to the final, probably half a mile right there, guys. What an absolute amazing finish. We'll put a replay of that finish up on your screen momentarily, but wow, what a finish to this one.
Yeah, what a finish. And I called Tyler Laughlin might win this race. I'm 2 for 2 now broadcasting. So, but that 79, wow, he did not have some good words to say about that 51 on the radio.
Man, looking at the replay here to the finish, the 41 and 47, 89, 15, all wrecking off the 4. That just opens the door for Tyler Laughlin in the 51. But then the 79 of Logan Cathcart, he had a huge run coming to the line. Tyler Laughlin shuts the door hard, and he keeps it straight. The 79 and 83 cross the line sideways along with the 8 car of Doyle Lawrence. He came across backwards along with Trent Wrangler rounding out your top 5 there. What a finish to this race.
Yeah, that was quite amazing what we saw there. It looked like the 51 there coming to the line. The 79 had a run on him on the inside, but looks like as we're on board on the replay there, it looks like he made a little contact with the 79 coming to the stripe. And hey, listen, when $100 is on the line, you got to do whatever you can to stay out in front. And I think right there, that was just that was some hard racing at the end, and lots of smoke and lots of carnage. And for cars that didn't have any damage all race long, 500 miles later, here they are coming home on a flatbed. So just an amazing finish to a long race, and a great job by all these drivers. And honestly, for a race that long, to still have 14 guys on the lead lap, only a couple of lap down, that was a pretty good race. And a lot of guys really need to hold their head high for the way this thing turned out, and for a lot of these guys with the finishes that they ended up having. It was a fantastic end to a great race.
Well, like we said before the final restart, Andy, it's checkers or wreckers, and it was definitely wreckers.
It definitely was. We're going to take a moment. Hopefully we can talk to our top three finishers, or at least anybody who wants to hang out and talk with us, but we'll do that in a moment. But for now, we'll step aside. You've been watching the iRacerStuff.com Daytona 500, the first annual, right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Curious to
We're back here live at Daytona International Speedway. We just concluded the iRacerStuff.com Daytona 500, the first annual. And if this is anything of thing to come in years to go here, this is going to be quite an outstanding race. It started with hundreds of drivers signing up to register for this. It went to some qualifying. It did some duels last weekend, a couple duels. They had a couple 150 duels, and we were privileged to cover those as well. And then to come here and do 500 miles, 200 laps around this speedway. We had some great racing, a lot of green flag action early in this thing. Obviously, the cautions started to pile up towards the end because that's when it meant everything for these drivers as far as the outcome and as far as the win. So we'll see if we cannot talk to one of the drivers, and first I'll see if I can walk over here and catch up with one of the guys that led a lot of this race, led at the end coming off of turn number 4, but that's when things all went crazy, and that of course was the driver of the 47, Chris Overland. And Chris, man, what a wild finish. It was a pretty good race though. Green flag, a lot of green flag action all race long. And was that surprising for you?
The green flag racing or the finish? Because
I'm talking about
no.
the beginning. All the green flag racing at the beginning. We saw a lot of green flag pit stops and everything, and it seemed pretty calm there at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, the beginning of the race was pretty typical for a 500-mile race. We all just sat around, tried to feel each other out, make sure that we had a good car, and we did, and did everything we could. But we'll just say circumstances out of my control kept me from winning the race.
Coming into a race like this where the payouts only basically you win and you get everything, a winner take all kind of format, being the leader at the end like that, I mean, is that obviously you're accustomed to pressure running in the Peak Antifreeze series here at iRacing. So the pressure wise, I'm sure the pressure wasn't on you, but it's got to make you think what's going to happen next or what could happen. That must have been going through your mind at least before the restart.
Well, absolutely. The big thing about running in the Peak Series is everybody you're racing with every week, and towards the end there, I had no idea who the people were around me, at least for the most part, how they were at super speedway drafting. So the only person I tried to stick with was Tyler Laughlin. Congratulations to him, but he worked pretty well with the double clutch Menards Chevrolet, and I guess I wasn't nervous, but more so I was more aware of my surroundings because I didn't know who was, who did what, so I had to be more alert.
Yeah, I mean, for the majority of the race, you're running in the top 5 right there, and all with, like you said, all with the guys that you typically race with in the Pro Series and in the Peak Antifreeze Series. And so obviously the majority of the race right up to the end, I mean, obviously the comfort level as far as you and who was around you was definitely there. Then we get that accident at the end there with about 10 to go, and a couple of those guys, those familiar names that you're used to racing with, ended up with heavy damage and had to pull it behind the wall. So now that mixes up everything with a bunch of guys, like you said, that you weren't sure what was going to happen, and obviously the circumstances out of your control. You're leading. I mean, there was nothing else that you could have done differently as far as avoiding that one, and obviously put you not winning this race here today. But overall, I mean, obviously this is probably a good idea or a good way for you as a driver, as a Peak Antifreeze driver, to get ready for what's to come here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a lot of good data, found out a lot of things about the car that I didn't know, found out a lot about the track that probably wouldn't have known if I didn't run the full 200 miles there. And, I feel like we have a really good car for the Peak Antifreeze Series race, but as you saw, you can do everything right and then get just flat dump there at the end. So I guess we learned about just about everything that you can expect in the Peak Antifreeze Series at Daytona there. So I think the biggest thing I took from it is you can't really know anything.
Yeah, that is one of the downfalls to running the plate track races, and obviously it came out to bite at the end of it. But like you said, the data and the things that you were able to learn, obviously when it comes to why you do this and why you're on here, that's coming up in a couple of weeks, and hopefully with everything you learn, that'll prove to be possibly a chance for you to go to victory lane here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I just real quick want to say thanks to all the guys at Last Row Motorsports and Slip Angle Motorsports. They worked really hard on the car. Brian Blackford for spotting me there at the end. He told me the right thing to do, and I didn't listen to him, and we ended up in the fence instead of in victory lane. But that's all right. Thanks to Tyler for working with me. Double Clutch Menards, the Wendell Scott Foundation, Brad Newman Photography, everybody who helped support the 47 team. They're the ones that keep me racing.
That's good to hear, and want to congratulate you again. A good run, and wish you the best of luck as you can watch everything on Race Spot this season. Kind of a new deal for you guys. So good luck with the Peak Antifreeze series, and I'm sure we'll hear and see you more right here on iRacing Live.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
There you have it. Didn't get the finish that he wanted, but overall, like he said, he learned a lot of things and got a lot of data, which will get him ready for his Peak Antifreeze start to the season here in a couple of weeks. But right now, I'm going to throw it down to Tyler Herr. He's caught up with our third place finisher in the 83 car.
Thanks, Andy. I'm down here on pit road with the driver of the number 83 Chevrolet, Michael Van Oostel. I'm sorry if I butchered that one, but Michael, you started all the way in the back in this race, finished in third place, but on the final lap, you went from 10th place all the way up to third with all the mayhem in front of you. Walk us through those final laps and that crazy finish.
Yeah, that was something that was a lot of fun. Last few laps, I was stuck in the back. We planned to stay in the back pretty much the whole race, me and my low line team, and just at the end, I just got caught up with a little bit of damage. Could really make my way up to the front. But a few of my teammates, Trent, Nigel, had a way to possibly to get up to the front and end up getting some contact. And I just told Mark behind me, I said I'm not lifting, and I didn't. And somehow I made a way through and ended up getting third. Thought I might end up winning the thing, but I couldn't.
Yeah, it was just a matter of circumstances that kept you out of victory lane there today. Now going back through this entire race, how was it running around in that pack with all the black stripes out there and just everyone else? What was your comfort level throughout the entire race? And is there anything that you might have learned out there to help you going further?
Actually, we avoided the pack. We hung around in the back for the most part. Racing with the Black Stripes. I mean, I race with them almost every week in the A Open series, so I'm starting to get to learn a lot of them. But yeah, we tried to avoid the pack because we knew eventually a race would happen, and a good bit of the Black Stripes ended up getting taken out just because they stayed up in the pack. And me and my team were there at the end. We just weren't able to capitalize.
Now, here, excuse me. Now, who exactly gets it done for you in these races here?
My low line team run with like Trent, Nick, Doucette, Nigel, Mark, Ronald, and Bruce Mensker make our setups for the super speedways. But man, we've had probably close to over 10, 12 people in the race today. So I mean, the list would go on and on.
All right, Michael, congratulations on your third place finish here today. And I'm going to send it down to Paul with our second place finisher.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've caught up with the 79 Nationwide car with Logan at the wheel here. And Logan, I'm pretty sure you're disappointed right now. I heard you on the radio afterwards. Well, what do you think about that finish there?
Well, first off, congrats to Tyler Laughlin. You know, he had to do what he had to do there coming to the line. It was, we thought we had a shot at it. We were right there, saw the run, and it's just one of those deals. But it was a great time. Like I said, it sucks that happened, but it's racing.
Yeah, I guess when there's $100 on the line, you'll wreck your own mother to get that cash. Anyway, how was it running with the black stripes there? Do you do that often, or is this something new for you?
No, it's fairly regular with the I rating the way it is now for me. I get to run with these guys in the A Open when I do get a chance to run them, and sometimes in the pro races when I've tried to run those. But it's really nothing's different. It was, it's fun. You can kind of, especially at a plate race, you can trust those guys a little more to know what to do and to hold their line and to work with them a little better. And it's you don't get the nervousness that you do running behind, a lower division person that's, throwing a quick setup together or taking the fixed setup and just out there keeping it floored the whole time and not really knowing how to race on a plate track.
Well, who gets it done for that 79 car? Anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
Yeah, everybody over at Sim Chassis that really, worked hard on this. I didn't get to put in a whole lot of hours on it, but Dave Swindell worked on it. Was hoping that he could get up there and we could work together. We kind of started in the back together with the rest of the Sim Chassis guys, with the kind of just like the low line guys did, just trying to keep our nose clean and stay out of the wrecks. And then when it came time to start moving, we'd start pushing forward, which we did. And I think we were able to prove we were able to hang up there with those guys. But, an unfortunate situation for Dave that got him stuck in the back on one of those late restarts. We just couldn't hook back up and make a solid challenge for it.
Well, I'm glad you had a good race, pretty good finish there. Congrats to you, and hopefully we'll see you more here on LSRTV with various things. So I'm going to throw it over to Andy. He has a very, very happy driver, that number 51 in Gatorade Victory Lane.
That's right. I am down here now in Victory Lane, and yeah, I'm pretty sure he's pretty happy. Tyler Laughlin, congratulations. Big win for you.
Oh yeah, it was a big win. I feel bad about, getting Cathcart right there. I mean, it's the 500. We're coming down to the finish line. He has a big run on me. I know he's going to get me if I don't try to stop his momentum somehow. And all I thought, we were just going to door to the finish line. But whenever we hit, I guess, I don't know if it was netcode or what, that shot him to the inside like that. Because, I mean, usually you can have a good door battle to the finish line like that. And that was the only way he could stop his momentum right there. Because I knew he had the run on me and he was going to get me any other way. So I feel bad about that. But the car ran good all day. I kept on getting killed on right there on that last restart. Like, I just kept on getting hit left and right, and I got separated from me and Chris. But last lap happened. Crazy stuff happens. Daytona on the last lap, like always, and somehow we came out with the W.
Yeah, we're talking about that finish, and you kind of got bounced around, like you said. You end up back in that sixth spot, almost out of contention. I think I might even mention that on the white flag lap, saying, well, that puts you out of contention, but then obviously anything can happen at these plate tracks, and you were able to squeeze through all that carnage there at the end and come out with the victory. And like you said, I mean, listen, you're coming down the last lap and coming down to the end, and you got to do something right when you're coming down and you're going for everything, like you said, and make a little contact to slow it down. And like you said, it just something happened. It is what it is. It is racing. And but we talked to Chris Overland a few minutes ago down on pit road, and he said the biggest thing out of this, obviously he was disappointed with his finish just because of the circumstances that happened. But what he's able to take away from this, from running the 200 laps, was a whole lot of ammunition, basically, as far as setup wise, as far as the way the track is and it races, to get ready for the Peak Antifreeze Series race here in a couple of weeks. Is this something that will help you also moving forward?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, you could, whenever we were around other drivers at the front, peak wise, like Cody and Bolton and Dylan and all them guys, you could tell which ones are going to be, contenders come peak at Daytona time. We still have a lot of work to do on our setup at Daytona. We didn't have nothing short run or pushing. I could only lead the pack. I couldn't push for nothing. If I got out front, me or Chris, we knew we had good cars, but Chris could only push me. I couldn't really push him. So, I mean, a big thing at Daytona is you really need to get out front and not be able to let anybody else by, because it's really hard to pass. Like, it's definitely when it gets down to the end, unless you have a good long run car that's with you pushing on the outside, you're not going to make any headway. But yeah, I feel like there's some tweaks we still need to work on for peak to be contenders, but I feel like we're pretty good.
When we talk about the racing at these plate tracks and how it's changed over the last build or so, as far as the raceability, actually, with the outside line really being able to get a run and get the momentum on the outside to be able to drop down in front of those leaders. And With this type of racing, with this new build basically, and with the tire wear, how, I mean, is that something now, knowing with some green flag stops that you had and knowing that the tires really didn't last a full fuel run? I mean, that's something obviously with you and Cody and all the rest of the peak drivers here, that's got to be something that you guys can take in your back pocket and share with your teams and maybe give you guys an advantage come a couple weeks from now.
Oh, definitely. The biggest thing I noticed was I think me and Chris were probably the best cars there at the end of the run. Chris was ready to go, like he was antsy. He was ready to get up to the front there at the start of the run. So I told him, man, just wait till the end, just wait till the end. And those last couple laps in the run, we would make our move, and we would always get up to about third or fourth. Yeah, one thing I know I'm gonna take away from my back pocket is green flag pit stops. I definitely need to work on that. I had to shake the rust off tonight because I was awful getting in my pit stall all night. Overshot pit road, got a speeding penalty. Biggest thing I'm gonna have to work on myself is pit road, definitely for the green flag pit stops.
Yeah, we talked about that early in the race there, and man, what a job you did to have that penalty. I mean, you got fortunate, obviously, with that caution when it came out, but setup-wise, car speed-wise, I mean, you really came up through the field rather quickly to get yourself back up into that top 5 area that you had been in all day long. So, like you said, that's got to build the confidence, at least on that part, that you know that car can drive. You know it's got a lot of speed in it. That can get you back up to the front and as far as a mistake being made. But we talk about that all the time when we come to restrictor play races on these broadcasts, that pit road under green flag circumstances is probably one of the toughest things to master on iRacing.
Yeah, it definitely is. I probably put Daytona and Talladega's up as probably two of the hardest tracks to get on the pit road during green flag because you're gonna have a lot of guys going in at the same time, so you have that in the back of your mind. And on top of that, your just speeds are so high, and pit road speed is 60 miles an hour. So that's just different from what you're used to at mile and a half. So it's usually 50 or 35. So that's big whenever you have to stop in your stall. You're going 60 miles an hour into your stall. It's really easy to overshoot it if you're not used to practicing that. Yeah, I'd probably put that up as probably the hardest pit entrance you have on the circuit.
Well, putting that in the back of your mind, you got a little bit of practice on that, and you know now what you need to do as far as a couple weeks now. So with that said, obviously $100 richer coming out of this one, so a pretty good day for you as well as far as that goes. And obviously there's more people than just yourself that get it done. Sponsors, shout outs. Who helps the 51 get to victory lane?
Definitely. I'm going to thank everybody over at Dead Zone. They always work hard on our setups. Got to thank my spotter, Jonathan Goke. It was his first time ever spotting me. It was our first time we really communicated because we're practicing for peak, but he did a heck of a job on top of the spotter's tower. And then got to thank Monster Energy, Infinite Creative Solutions. Both of those sponsors really helped me out. I felt bad because me and Dylan got together in the middle of the race, and I hate that because me and Dylan are really good friends, and he's probably mad at me right now. So I have to go make up and see what I can do if I can make it any better before peak. I just want to thank everybody over here at LSRTV. You guys do a heck of a job on your broadcast. I really wish y'all could have got the Peak series, the broadcast, but I'm pretty sure Race Spot will do pretty good too. But I love everyone over here at LSRTV. You guys do a really good job. I hope Laura gets better. Prayers are with her, her family. So I want to thank y'all.
Well, we appreciate that. And, you'll have our commentators over there at Race Spot, so it'll be a pretty cool deal to see something new, different, a change per se over there on the Peak Antifreeze series. And we wish you the best of luck over there and anything else that comes along for you here.
Thank you, guys.
There you have it. Winner today at the iRacerstuff.com Daytona 500. That's Tyler Laughlin, your big winner here today. $100 richer, guys. Not a bad payday for 500 miles.
No, not at all. For 2.5 hours of work, $100, that's pretty good pay for me.
That it is. And, this race slated for 4 to 5 hours. It could have been, but these guys really got the job done when it came to green flag racing here today, Tyler. And, it's one of them things that when you come to play tracks like this, it's hit or miss. Some days you're going to see a lot of caution. You're just going to see guys driving over their head right from the drop of the green flag. And then other days you'll see races like this where, cooler heads prevail for 2/3 of the race. And then obviously towards the end, I mean, you can't fault anybody as far as the caution starting to rack up at the end. I mean, it's go time. And a lot of these guys, especially when you have a late race restart, that's when that's when you get bunched back up, especially those guys around that 10th to 15th spot that now can all of a sudden see the leader.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, this was one of the Daytona 500s that I would say would be pretty much your typical one. You have a lot of green flag racing to start off, and then at the end, that intensity starts kicking in. Everyone gets closer and closer and closer to each other when it's just about go time, and then you're slowed down and have to reset and just keep going at it again and again. And we were treated to one wild finish here today. That was by far one of the craziest ones I've seen.
Yeah, it was definitely a great finish to a great race, and it's always what you want to see when you come to these races. And guys, final thoughts. Obviously, the first annual iRacerStuff.com Daytona 500, and it sounds like it's going to be something that we're going to see year after year. And I think these guys put on a great show as far as the way they went about it and the amount of people they had register and the qualifying. And they made sure over the qualifying and the dual races that you got the fastest, the best of the best, the right crop of guys, and how much obviously that comes into effect with the type of racing we get. And, Paul, I mean, that being said, I mean, the product ends up being good.
Definitely, and this was a heck of a way to kick off Speed Weeks here on iRacing. I mean, what a finish, what a race, and I can't wait to start, racing here at Daytona this week, starting Monday.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an awesome week with iRacing with the NIS series getting its Daytona 500 kicked off this week, and all the other plate. It's just going to be a plate track week type of week here on iRacing on LSRTV. So we'll definitely have to keep it locked into that. And we saw a lot of guys with the opportunity here at the late that started way in the back of the field to come up and maybe steal one away, but ultimately it ends up being one of the Peak Series drivers, a black stripe, if you will, Tyler Laughlin, coming up big when it counts the most at the end, coming from 6th to 1st on the final lap. We're going to it's time to do that full field rundown that we like to do at the end of the race, and we'll start that off with, of course, your winner, Tyler Laughlin. Logan Cathcart came home in that second spot. Michael Vanzadal finishes 3rd. Doyle Lawrence, good run for him. He finishes 4th. 5th went to Trent Ringler. Mark Maffett finished 6th. 7th went to Colin Bauer. Good rebound for him. Damie Long, we talked to him during the race. He finishes 8th. 9th goes to Chuck Ernest. And Dave Swindell rounds up top 10.
Brad Lawson finishes 11th. Chris Overland, he was leading across the line, ends up finishing 12th for the white flag lap. Chad Coleman 13th. Nigel DeJong finishes 14th. Matthew Quick 15th. Nicholas Duche 16th. Jason Laney 17th. Justin Bolton 18th. Ryan Knapp 19th. And Matthew Bitkefer finishes in 20th.
21st finishing position tonight was Cody Bias. Dylan Duvall finishes 22nd. 23rd went to Robbie Williams. Bobby Stewart finishes 24th. 25th went to Brandon Holder. Joshua Gear finishes 26th. 27th went to Brad Peterson. Lewis Sparks finishes 28th. 29th was Brian Castle. And the 76 of Brad Neer finishes 30th.
Eric Rodeman finishes 31st. Chris Templin 32nd. Tor Hellebo finishes 33rd. Bruce Mentzer finishes 34th. Dominic Kriske finishes 35th. Dylan Rafferty 36th. Logan Clamp at 37th. Travis Smith 38th. Ronald Jones 39th. 40th. Brandon Smizzer.
Chris Atkins, Joey Buscemi will round out the 42-car field that started this event here today, roughly about, 3 hours ago. So we're all tired up here. We hope you all enjoyed the race that was put on here, iRacerStuff.com. Go over and check them out, all the cool downloads and things, and all the items that could help you here on iRacing to give you that advantage on the number side of things. So head over to iRacerstuff.com and check them out. And we want to thank them for putting on this and having us alongside for the broadcast, both last week for the Dual 150s and, of course, for the first annual Daytona 500 right here on LSRTV. With that said, I want to thank Paul Fugate, Tyler Herr, Ian Plash, who jumped in earlier on during the race. Of course, Cisco Scaramouza down in the production trailer today. And for myself, Andy Kessler, I want to thank you all for joining us right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. And with that said, we'll see you next time right here on LSRTV. Have a good night.